then, hello and welcome to the 2.4 Hours of Le Mans, hosted by ACM Racing. It's obviously one of the most iconic tracks in motorsport history, and plenty of racing ahead. We're in qualifying at the moment, 20 minutes of qualifying, so not all too long for these guys to get underway with their laps. Currently watching then, Marnik in the Toyota. He's just about to start his lap now, and we'll stay on board with him for a little bit. Obviously, this is one of the first endurance races we've hosted on Le Mans Ultimate. Le Mans Ultimate is obviously pretty new to everyone, and hopefully we're going to make the best out of it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. We've got full multi-class today, so we've got hypercars, LMP2 and LMGT3s. So you get the full mix of racing. We'll try to stay updated with all the battles, all the class battles as well. I'm not sure if that froze for everyone there, but I'm not sure. It's a little bit buggy with the amount of cars we have on grid at the moment. I think we have I can check. We have 46 individual cars on track at the moment, so it is going to be quite an interesting one. But we'll get on board with Marnik to see what it's like from a driver's POV. It's coming down straight now into the first chicane, passing obviously some of the lesser classes. I haven't driven much on the hypercar. Well, I did a 6 minutes at Bahrain not long ago in ACM. That was quite interesting. It was quite difficult to learn and do a car from scratch, but it was good fun. So it's going to be interesting to see, obviously, how the Mans spec of these cars perform as he come in now to the second chicane. Has got an LMP2 ahead of him. If you don't know much about the multi-class racing, a red is indicated by the hypercars, blue is the LMP2s, and the orange-yellow is the GT3s. So that's where you can easily identify them. And he goes past then Vladimir in the AO, the LMP2. Yeah, so far, looking good. Looks like a fairly clean sector one. So coming down the 6 kilometre straight, so broken up by those two chicanes. LMP2 braking a lot later and almost into the back of the hypercar. But yeah, you can see all the cars in the background, how small the LMP2s are compared to the hypercars, but it should be a good race. Throughout, obviously, the race, we're going to be talking to Harry and Patrick. Patrick in the hypercar, and Harry, obviously, owner of ACM, in the LMGT3s. So we'll get a few interviews with them throughout the race, as it is going to be quite a long one. But we'll see, obviously, how it all goes. At the moment, then, Marnik doing a pretty good job with this lap. It's look very tidy indeed, but currently doesn't have purple sectors. Purple sectors currently go to Frank in the number 7 hypercar, so we'll have to see how that goes. But we'll stay on board with Marnik because he is the first hypercar to go out on track and set a lap, and we'll have to see what the benchmark will be for the rest of these cars. How quick this car is in this final sector. It is immensely quick as it gets past the LMGT3 BMW M4, recently added to the game. Big slide for Marnik then. That's not obviously ideal whatsoever, but it's done pretty well to hold it in one piece. Coming into the final set of chicanes then, another big slide, very loose on the setup, the looks of it. It'll come across the line then to set the lap. It is going to be a 3:31, but I did accidentally have a mistake. I think Frank was the first one to go out. Frank set a 3:27.3 in the Peugeot, and that is currently 2.1 seconds ahead of the second hypercar. It looks very quick indeed for the Czech driver, and it's going to be very interesting to see, obviously, how it goes out. But these cars then pretty fast in a straight line, though, as expected. They will be reaching very top speed around. Find the exact data, but just looking, they'll reach around 214 miles an hour on this 6 kilometre back straight. Obviously, it's separated by the two chicanes. That's around 345 kilometres an hour. How accurately the game represents that, we'll find out, but we'll have to see. There was Harry there in the McLaren, which I said to him not long ago. It looks weird of him seeing him in the McLaren. never really drives it. But either way, is quite interesting. But for other top speeds, LMP2 reaching around 199 miles an hour, so about 320 kilometers an hour. We've also got on board with our lead LMP2. It's Christian, the Romanian driver. He's done a 3-minute 40. He has stopped, so he'll be finishing his lap then. So in second place for that class is Vladimir. We saw him not long ago getting passed by Marnik, but he did a 3-minute 40.8, so he's looking quite close in the LMP2 car at the moment. As I was saying, these are reaching around 200 miles an hour, and obviously we'll have to see how representative that is, but at the moment it's looking pretty accurate. I've heard good things about how accurate this game is, so we'll have to see how true it all goes on. Obviously, GT3 cars, I mean, we primarily know about GT3s here at ACM. We do quite a lot of ACC. Obviously, completely different spec of GT3. Obviously, currently watching then Rosso, who is no longer our class leader, as Kenzo has just taken it away in the BMW M4 by 3 seconds as well. So it was a 4-minute 3 for the Team WRT driver. We'll try out some of this overlays, which Le Mans Ultimate have very nicely provided. Nice to use. It's still getting used to the application, so bear with. He goes a little bit off grass then to avoid the Ferrari, so we'll see. But you can see, indicated by the bottom right overlay, that green square indicates a personal best first sector. Obviously yellow will be not improved, and red will be invalidated, and purple will be fastest. But the target time we believe to be a bug, because obviously the GT3 will not be setting a 3-minute 27 at Le Mans. That is Frank's original pole time, so that's a little bit bugged, but either way you get to see it anyway. And yeah, you can see the position he's in. That will be his overall position, as he is currently first in class. But it will be interesting to see obviously how these battles evolve, because we've got to mix a good amount of drivers. We've got 16 hypercars, we've got 18 LMGT3s, and we have 12 LMP2s. So a decent variety of classes, so we should get some good battles in them. And overall, we'll have to see who's looking out on top at the moment. But Braga then, currently in the pit lane, it's just gone within 0.6 of Frank's original pole time, both on a 27 at the moment. And Braga will be looking, obviously, 2-time race winner in our Le Mans series. He's going out again then. He's obviously won both races we've already hosted, and at the moment is looking to try and make it a third, and at the 2.4 hours of Le Mans as well, so it's going to be quite interesting indeed. But we have got a decent mix of drivers at the moment. If my control panel wants to update real quick, it does. Someone on a personal best is currently Daniel in the McLaren Evo. He's got a personal best first sector. Wasn't much of an improvement in the middle sector. You see 16 seconds down. So yeah, that's a little bit I was talking about in terms of how all the overlays work. Big slide from the McLaren ahead though, and backwards. Not really the ideal way of facing. But yeah, obviously this will be quite interesting to see how it all works. Got different 1v1 battles overlays as well, so we should get a decent amount of overlays to keep everyone entertained on the stream. So we also got the onboard HUD, which I want to save until the end of quali, when someone's on an absolute mega of a lap. When we get to see the absolute raw power of these cars. At the moment then, still watching Daniel, who's still coming through the first sector. Go on board with him. It's not the onboard I wanted, and I I think Le Mans Ultimate has a little bit of a bug where I can't, well, the control panel, I can't double click the onboard button, which means I'm going to have to constantly switch between trackside and onboard to get the onboard I wanted. But there goes an LMP2 up the inside of one, around the outside of the another, and getting past. So it's going to be quite tricky for the hypercars and the LMP2 cars to try and balance themselves out and try make themselves as clear as possible, trying to pass these guys, as it's going to be quite tricky managing the traffic. So if on the straight, of course, like a hypercar in the background it's going to be a fairly simple pass, but obviously coming into the tricky sections like the Porsche curves, it is quite difficult. In other news, there was meant to be a 10 times multiplier for today's race. There isn't going to be any more due to a game bug, which means we cannot, it doesn't progress time, unfortunately, so we're stuck at 4 PM, and the race will end at 4 PM. So yeah, we'll have to see, but we'll go on board then with Frank, who is currently on his outlap, and about to be the start of his lap, and this is the perfect time, I think, to use our lovely new onboard HUD, and which honestly such a great scale. And get the right onboard, please. There we go. You can really see how much he is pushing, what lines he's taking, and all his inputs as well, the braking, the throttle, his energy, and his speed and gearing. But he made a little bit of a mistake there. He's obviously not off to a great start on the lap, but either way, you get to see sort of what kind of speed he's doing in some of these tricky sections of the circuit. Obviously, not only is it an iconic circuit, it is quite a tricky one. Obviously, the final sector, especially. You're looking at the Ford chicanes, which are the final corners, Porsche curves, corners like Arnage as well. Pretty tricky, and yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see on the braking how these cars are going to do. Obviously, these hypercars and LMP2 cars, no ABS, so no guidance. It's all driver skill in the braking zone. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these drivers attack them, especially in a race scenario. Multiple cars are side by side. We'll have to see how that all works out. But he's currently chasing down his fellow hypercar friend. Obviously not on the better laps as we saw from second one. But either way, you get to see what kind of overlays we got on offer today. And this is one of them. I think it's probably one of the best. It really does look almost identical to a Wexstream, so it is very enjoyable. Well then, on board with Frank at the moment, but Jacob Marnick, the guy that you're watching at the very start of this race, we currently on board with set a 32.6 in the first sector, and that is the fastest of anybody at the moment. He has 1.7 seconds to make up at the moment, so he has to try and try to get pole position. He's got 2 minutes to do it, since he's got one more lap most likely after this. But as you can see in the bottom right, he's 1/10 gone purple, so he's 10th faster than Frank at the moment. And if he keeps it up, he's looking for a provisional pole at the moment, and for getting out of the way there nicely. So he has got a little bit of traffic to navigate off that LMP2 car, so I have to see what he can do. So fast with the cars through here, honestly, remarkable speed and aerodynamic performance. But LMP2 car traffic right ahead of him, and it's not really what he would have wanted at the moment. But we're about to see what the Sector 2 time is looking like, and have a look. At the moment, he gets past one LMP2. Is he going to get past another? LMP2 does get out of the way. And now he's got a GT3, and he does get past just before the corner, which is much needed for his lap. There's a little bit of contact between the GT3 and the LMP2 back there. Either way, Jacob on a flying lap at the moment. His sector 2 time has not updated for me, and a little bit wider now. Wonder if that's probably be invalidation. It doesn't say on my sheet, but I think that would have been an invalidation. He went all fours across the white line, and I'd imagine that being an invalidated lap, but we'll have to see as he'll come across the line. Nothing has updated, unfortunately, but he'll come across the line and it doesn't count as expected, so he'll have to go again. But he knows he's got the time in sector 1, he just needs the rest of the time elsewhere. But we'll catch in then with Jan, who's currently in the pit lane. He's currently in P22 overall, P14 in class, and he's currently in the mix with the LMP2 guys. So at the moment, not the best, can't really find the lap at the moment, so we'll have to see if he can try and push himself up into the top of the LMP2, of the hypercar class at the moment. And as well, Albert finds himself on a lap in the BMW. Also, Grid is currently 43rd overall, 16 in class, and that's last place in class. And he's currently on a personal best, so I'd imagine this will shoot him right up the field at the moment, so I'll have to stay on board and see what the lap time is. I'd imagine it's looking like a fairly clean lap at the moment. A big slide for the Ferrari in the background, and that's what happens when you brake a little bit too hard or a little bit too late in these hypercars. It doesn't take much for them to go round and spin, so we'll have to see how those drivers can manage that across obviously the 2.4 hour endurance. We'll have to see. Obviously 2.4 hour, not too long on paper, but it is still quite a long race, especially in a new game like this, with everyone still kind of learning on what you can and can't do. It will be quite a long one, and I imagine these drivers will be getting quite familiar with these cars pretty quickly, as Albert pretty much nails that final section as we come towards the 4 chicanes now to finish his lap. Still personal best in both sectors, so looking for a decent lap then. A little bit on the curb out of the final chicane, but coming across the line, he'll go P43 to, I've lost him, P13, and P13 in class as well. So he's done a pretty good job of that lap, and that marks the end of quali, and everyone else now will be finishing their laps. Pedro Lima in the Peugeot, currently on the lap, not on an improvement at the moment. He's 7/10 down in the first sector, but he's up in the second, so we'll have to see if this can improve his time. He's only got to find a little bit, literally thousandths of a second to go up into P8, but he has got an LMP2, and I imagine he would try to get past this pretty quickly. He does, and a GT3 to go with it as well, but he's got to find around 2 or 3 more tenths to get up into the likes of P7 and P6, who are not that far separated either. And during the formation lap, we'll go over the quality results in more detail. But for now, then, doing a pretty good job at keeping this lap together, and it could be enough to promote him up into P8. He's only got to find 16 thousandths of a second to go up into P8. So he's got to find around 3 or 4 tenths now to go up into P7. We'll have to see what he can do. And it's looking like a pretty clean lap so far, but Frank taking pole position then, unless this comes out of an absolute flyer, but at the moment I don't think so for Pedro. We'll have to see, but Frank, pretty dominant lap, 6 tenths clear of Braga in P2, followed by Stina in P3 as well. Pretty close together, I could say, so it could still be an interesting race. And then Pedro then coming out the final corner, across the line, he'll go P9 to P7, so he did get the lap he needed, and only a 1/10 away from P6, so pretty good lap from Pedro then to promote his position. And any moment now, obviously we'll have to see when the race will start, but in other news, Daniel, LMP2, hasn't set a lap yet, and set his lap now. He comes through the Ford chicanes now, and he'll look to come across the line and set his lap. He'll go 44th, and I imagine this will be a big improvement as he'll go 44th all the way up into 24th and P9 in class. So he's done pretty well there, and to start his race in P24 and P9 overall. So, like I said, we'll have to stay updated with all the class battles as well. It's going to be quite hectic trying to manage it all, but we'll give it a go. So all in the pits now then is everyone, and we'll have to see when the race will start. I imagine it's only a minute away or so, and then from there we'll see who's going to get off the line the quickest. I'd imagine, it's going to be Frank, who's going to probably get a pretty decent start, but I'll have to see. I'm not particularly sure what's going on with the game at the moment. I imagine these guys are just finalising a few things, and then we should be getting underway. But for now then, we'll stay on board and we'll see if we can have a look at the session results. I believe we can. Yes, we can. So you can see Frank then taking pole position, followed by Braga, then Powell, then Marnik, and then Spencer Brown, followed by Flores, and then Pedro, who we were just on board with just a minute ago. Matias, Santiago, and then Ayrton round out the top 10 of the Hypers. And we can change this, I believe. We can do LMP2. You can see Berinda takes LMP2 pole. Then you can see the formation lap is about to get underway. Then it's Charles Rink in P2, followed by Benjamin in P3, then Vladimir, and then Sam, Pavel, Andrew, Henk, Daniel, and then Jose round out the top 10 for the LMP2 class. Looking pretty close at the top of that LMP2 class as well. So we could have a good battle in that class. And then the long-awaited LMGT3s is Kenzo Blin in P1, followed by Jacob, then Radek, Wellington, Tyler, Harry, Rosso, Rasmus, P9 and P10 round that out as well. But about to get underway then. I think it was a short formation by the looks of it, so I'll have to quickly get on board with all of that. But it is going to be looking like a pretty good race overall. So these hypercars will just fly off the line compared to the rest of the grid. So we're going to be getting a quite quick start straight into the action now. To see what kind of racing we are expecting. At the moment, you can see how many cars we have on grid. Just for anyone that hasn't joined the stream since I first said, we now have 47 cars on the grid, and we have a hypercar at the back. So that's going to be quite an interesting recovery. We'll have to see how that goes out. That is Franek, so we'll have to see how they get on. Either way then, Frank leading us away, followed by Braga. They exit the final corner now, and they're about to get green. We're not watching the marshal about to throw the green flag, and we're about to get underway then. It's green racing now. Braga got a fantastic start off the line. Frank has to set up a P10 at the moment. Braga, brilliant start in the Lamborghini, followed by Marnik as well. Around the outside goes the Porsche in the background as well. So there's plenty of action following this. Everyone got done massive crash at the Dunlop. Not sure who's the one that got multiple hypercars involved in that. Maybe a little bit too late on the brakes for some. But we're still following down then. There's hypercars all over the track by the looks of things. But you can see Santiago as well getting involved in the LMP2s. There's plenty of action. There's a yellow flag out as well. There's a big crash for Flores, who's in the barrier. Not ideal then, but we're watching Frank still chase after Braga then. So this is now the start of 2.5 hours roughly of racing at Le Mans. And this is what it's all about. Frank getting really close. That's the power of the slipstream. Come into the first chicane then and exit the first one as well. And it's so close together is everyone. You imagine Frank will get a great slipstream on Braga now, onto the next chicane. You can see he's pulling and pulling. So slipstream is a massive effect here, and he might even get a pass done into the chicane. I don't think he's going to try it though. Or he might, to be fair. They're going to go side by side. He does back out of it into the second chicane, but he's going to get a brilliant run into the next one. Little right-hand kink. So we'll have to see what Frank's going to do. Is he going to go inside or outside? This is all new for everyone, especially for these two. It's going to be quite interesting to see what it's going to be like. Frank pulls out, and then alongside Braga they go. Frank does get ahead and is ahead. Braga does let that one go for now, but he knows he's just going to get the move done on the exit. Switch back by Braga, and he does make that pretty good. Big crash in the background. That's multiple hypers off into the background. I can't really tell who's involved in that, but lots of gravel and lots of action at the back there. But still watching these two then, side by side they go. Still side by side, and this is the sort of racing that we was expecting at the moment. But Frank gets ahead, Braga has to cede. Either way, Braga will try and line up the exit pretty nicely. And just tucked behind for now. It wasn't a great exit for Frank, as it's just allowed Braga to pull alongside again. And again, Braga will have to keep trying, and does keep trying, gets the switch back again, and they're still going to be side by side, and gets the position fully, but Frank's going to tuck in and get the slipstream. We'll have to keep up with the action further down the grid after this first lap, but it's looking like a very hectic first lap at the moment, but still side by side they go. Frank gets way past Braga a lot later on the brakes, and makes a brilliant move then up into P1. Braga still closely following though. The gap is around 0.3 of a second, so these guys not learning up for each other at the moment, and it's looking to be quite an interesting battle. They're already 3 seconds clear of the rest of the field, so they've got a pretty good getaway. Come on board with Braga then, seeing what he is seeing as they come through then for the chicane. That wasn't a great exit for Frank, as Brag's all over the back of him, and if Braga gets this exit pretty nice, he might even get a run up into the Dunlop curves. I don't think he will. Pretty even. But it's a 35 for both of them last time out, so it is looking like a very tasty battle. But we'll have to keep an eye on that. There's a battle in the LMP2 class, and Verinda and Charles Rink, as they'll be going through Dunlop now as well. So lots of action between the two classes. There's also a battle for P1 in the GT3 class as well. So there's plenty of action happening in these two, staying pretty close to the end of the hypercars just ahead of them. We're going side by side for that matter. That's Jan and Ferrari. They're going side by side just ahead of them. There's a big crash. I believe that's another Ferrari in the wall. It's a Porsche who finds himself in the wall. Like I said, these cars are quite tricky to drive, and one small mistake can really end up losing you lots of time. There is no mandatory pit stops for this race, but they do, I imagine, well, we're going to have to stop at some point. So, Ferrari maybe struggling a little bit for tyre temperature there, as Frank has now got away from Riley. It's around 1.1 seconds. He graphic up for these two. These two. Get the one battle. Graphic up, so you can sort of see what kind of graphics we've got. But you see at last lap time, Charles Rink 2/10 slower than Christian Verinda. It's going to be quite interesting. So this is a battle for class lead at the moment. Obviously, overall, these guys are currently P11 and P12. So doing pretty well for an LMP2 class at the moment. So, either way, looking quite interesting. But what we haven't talked about here is obviously the battle for the LMGT3 class. And it's still Kenzo who leads us away, followed by Jacob as well. They're pretty close. You can see the horde of GT3 cars and a fair few cars that shouldn't be there, one including the hypercar of Jakob as well, who's coming through, as well as the LMP2 in the background. These are the guys that got caught up in the lap 1 shenanigans. but slowly making their way through. And there's 3 hypercars at the back as well that have got to catch up. We've got a few DNFs as well. DNFs for Jose Flores, Reese and Albert. They unfortunately DNF'd, and I imagine that was because of a big crash on the start. But also got lots and lots of paddles up in this field as well. Currently on board is David, who is well, we're watching just a horde of GT3s fly down on the straight. That's Van Nimmen and Floretta going side by side. A little bit of a squeeze from Van Nimmen, but leave just enough space, and Floretta will probably get a better exit out of that as well. Obviously, all a little trail of BMW M4s, and a little 296 in the background. But again, they're going to be side by side. Down. It's going to be quite an interesting one. It's very hard to stay on top of all the different class battles, but nothing really interesting going on at the moment. Tristan Brenda's on the back of a hypercar, but other than that, Frank in the hypercar class has got away from Braga. Still side by side as a flutter. It's a brilliant dive, but a little bit too late on the brakes and finds himself in the gravel trap. Loses a position to the McLaren and the BMW, and potentially the 296 as well. But side by side flutter again with another BMW. Though looking like some great racing happening in the LMGT3 class at the moment. Is looking like it's all happening at the moment, but go back on board then. Charles Rink, who's just a second out from Christian Brenda at the moment. He's pushed just a little bit harder to try and get within slipstream range of P1. I think has had pretty good sector 1 is pretty much equal sector 1 times for these two, so they're doing pretty well at the moment. But yeah, it is looking pretty competitive across all classes at the moment. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say really. It is quite competitive indeed. Moment, we'll have to watch Vladimir. He is chasing after. We've got to lose a position to Kloss in the background as well. You're right to see that happen. We'll go on board then. See what Kloss is going to do. Makes a move to the outside then. Now the inside for the chicane. They're going to be side by side, a little bit of contact I think, but Vladimir holds onto it nicely. Big slide in the exit though. And Kloss will get a second chance before they run it into the next chicane. We'll take this off and then we'll put on this and we'll go back on board with Kloss. So you can see exactly sort of what he's seeing. By the way, then he's going to make another move this time he goes to the outside. And we're going to get by as they go into the second chicane, and Kloss does make that move stick as Vladimir has a little bit of a lock-up. And nicely made move by Kloss then. But Vladimir is just going to try and get it back. Though he said slipstream is everything here, and he's just going to fight this one back. And again, you're going to see all the inputs from these guys at the moment. It is looking like a very testy battle indeed. Bit of a late defence from Kloss then, has put Vladimir off his line. I'm not sure if the shooter will be happy with that all too much, but Vladimir has to cede that one and has to try again. All the while this has allowed Goossens in the background then to catch up a little bit, so we could have another throughway fight here for P5 in class or P16 overall, so it's looking like a very good testy battle indeed. These guys are pretty close, but we'll go back towards the hypercross, and Pedro Lima finds himself behind Patrick, and he'll be looking to make that P7 in class, obviously P7 overall, and this is a battle we've got to watch as well. We can get a better onboard POV. Well, this one we'll have to do for now, but you can see coming into the forward chicanes then. Got another hypercar, that's Santiago just ahead of them as well. So again, another three-way fight in the hypercar class. This will be actually quite interesting to see how this one plays out. We'll see, can't remember much of as well. Sort of see, watching Pedro Lima at the moment in the Peugeot as they come towards Dunlop now then. looking pretty tidy on all of them. So it is looking to be quite a tasty battle between everyone, between all classes at the moment. Obviously you can see Frank leading then by around 4.5 seconds. Braga, we watched them battle it out on lap 1. And obviously he's not following. I'll now pull up each and every class details. Have a look at that now. The LMP2 class as we watch Pedro on the back of Patrick. Side by side they go. And I imagine they're very close to Santiago as well. Pedro did think about it. A little bit of a lock-up. Big spin though for Pedro into the gravel. Luckily not into the barrier. Avoid as much damage as possible. But that's what happens. Unfortunately broke a little bit too late. Found out we won't do that one again. But unfortunate. But that means Patrick gets his position back and Santiago has to fight another day. Otherwise allowed Jan to close up on Patrick as well. Yeah, just to talk about what I was talking about 2 days ago. We'll look at the LMP2 standings. LMP2 standings on your left. So you can see them. Brenda leads. You can see the class leaders at the top as well. But Brenda leads, followed by Ring, North, and then Kloss. And you can see their gaps as well. You can see 2 DNFs for the LMP2 class of Rambo, kind of a 13 Berhoff as well. So, unfortunately, to the GT3s as well. Wilney leads, followed by Crunch on Blin. So there's been a lead change for the LMGT3, but currently watching Jan up the inside of Patrick, and he's going to make that move. Very nice slipstream move, and down they go. Patrick trying to close a little bit on the braking. Very nice battle between these two, indeed. So I'll have to see obviously how that all plays out, of course. But Patrick looking to get that position back on the exit of the corner, because Jan went a little bit too deep, and has allowed Patrick to pull along alongside once more, and has to tuck in for slipstream, but he should be able to pull out of slipstream once again and look for the move. We'll go on board. This is a fantastic angle of the Ferrari. All I can see is the rear view mirror, but either way you can sort of see the inputs of Patrick at the moment. Talking about inputs, we'll bring up the onboard HUD once again. And you can see how close this GT3s everywhere, and it has allowed a hypercar to slip past Patrick. So again, that's what happens when you can't use the traffic properly. You do get stuck behind these cars. You see yellow flag displayed Patrick's HUD, so the car a little bit stuck somewhere, but that's what happens if you get stuck. You're most likely to lose position. Unfortunately, Patrick did pay that price, so unfortunate. But we'll cut back then to the lead of the LMGT3 class, as Wolney did get past Kenzo. So although quiet for once on track, these two are battling for class lead at the moment, so it is quite an interesting one indeed. We'll have to see how this plays out. Kenzo looking for a move on Wolney, sticks behind it in his mirrors, trying to make it as big as possible, does pull out by himself, and will look for a move into the next right-hander. I imagine he doesn't. Wolney breaks a little bit later, and these two still fighting. It is oddly quiet when it's just these two. It's just the GT3s. Either way, it's looking like a very good battle. I want to catch him with these guys a little bit later. As kind of want to see how Franek. Yeah, Franek started last, so he's now P8 overall, obviously P8 in class for that matter. So he's done pretty well at the moment to make up all those incidents happening on lap 1. And the fight currently against Jan, who obviously just got past Patrick as well. So yeah, so we'll have to see how this battle then turns out. But yeah, it is going to be very interesting see how this entire race plays out. You can see in the top left how long we've got left. We've got 2 hours and 8 minutes at the moment, so plenty of time, and obviously plenty of time for strategy in that matter as well. So it's going to be quite an interesting one to see how it all plays out. Either way, lots of action as I've got flying past GT3s. These guys pretty easy to overtake, these GT3s. There's not much you can really do about it. Much quicker in the corners, of course. Either way, we'll continue to watch. Speaking of GT3s, we'll go back to the class lead of GT3s. Still Warney and Kenzo, and they've currently got around 7-second lead to P3 in class, but there's an LMP2 going slowly, and unfortunately first had to try to get out of the way. Good reactions from both M4s. Very, very slow LMP2. I think he's just come out of the gravel, and now the LMP2 goes back by again. Yeah, that was quite scary for these two. They fly around the corner, and there's this LMP2 going nowhere. But Kenzo might get a good run actually on his fellow M4 driver. We'll have to watch this from on board. See how close it is. A little bit later on the brakes. Does get past. That's a great move for Kenzo. A little bit wide though. Has allowed Jacob to pull alongside once again. So these two not giving up just yet, and definitely making it interesting. It's very interesting to see these two, how they fight. Like I said, it is very quiet when there's no hypercars going around. That's Jacob getting past then, and Kenzo having to, well, he's out trying to put a little bit of pressure on, and he's doing pretty well at that at the moment. It looks like a pretty equal exit for the both of them. These two are in pretty much exactly the same sector dimes, so it's basically going to be swapping positions all race. Strategy for these guys, I would imagine, mainly. Who's going to obviously pit the latest, who's going to pit early, and try and get the undercut. We don't know. Obviously, overcut tends to be best in GT3 cars, as well as any other class really. Overcut tends to work better, but still watching these two. I don't think there's any major battles going on in the LMP2 class. There isn't. Christian Brenda has pulled away from Charles Rink by around 5 seconds already, so he's done a pretty good job at doing that. But still watching these two then. It's going to be quite interesting. Well, quite interesting to see how this all plays out. But one thing I did, hold on, something I've just noticed. Frank has spun. I've only just noticed that. He's found himself down in P12, P10 in class, with the fastest lap of the session. I don't know if we saw it happen or not. I've got terrible memory. That does mean Braga leads. I don't know if this happened recently, but Braga does lead the race then, and doing a pretty good job of that. He has got Powell 3 seconds behind him now, so he's not absolutely 100% comfortable. He has got a little bit of pressure behind him, I imagine, at the moment. You can just see him in his mirrors, but he's doing a pretty good job at the moment. But it was a faster lap time for Powell last time round, by around almost a second, if not a little bit more. Yeah, it was around 1.2 seconds. Powell was faster, so we'll have to keep an eye on this, because this man right here in the Ferrari could take P1 from Braga, but we've got to keep an eye on Frank. Obviously, currently is doing all right at the moment. He's trying to get himself past LMP2s, but we'll have to see obviously how that works at the moment. But there is a battle for the lead still on, and Powell just lost a humongous amount of time doing that, getting past those LMGT3s. and that's lost him around 1.5 seconds to Braga. And Jacob Marnik also on the back then of Powell. So we could see a battle for P2 as they both catch Braga. So potentially a three-way fight coming very soon, hopefully. I would like to see that indeed. You can see the gap to the leader on the top left of your screen. And yeah, I mean, just to prove how quick those hypercars are, they've already lapped the LMGT3s. And yeah, that's how quick these are. If you've never watched Mech or IMSA before, these things are very quick indeed. So little, obviously, if you don't know, see, hypercar obviously combined the LMH cars, the Le Mans hypercars, which are technically what you're watching now, and the LMH cars, is combining them both to make single hypercar class. And that is what you are watching overtake these LMGT3s. Obviously, there is 24 entrants in this race from hypercar class, and I believe, if I can just double check, we have 17, don't even have 17, my apologies. We have 12 left in the race, so like I said, we did see a big crash at the start of this race at the Dunlop, so that probably could have wiped out quite a few of them, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know. Powell then has brought the gap down to 2 seconds to Braga, so the personal best first sector as well for Powell. So we have to see how this gap is going to go down. So these hypercars have a hybrid battery as well, so they'll be making use of that. And a bit of a lock-up from Steiner there, but doing okay. But you can see Braga, how close he is to Braga. But Braga is got managing traffic. That's probably why Braga's losing time. But at the moment, Powell is just flying past the GT3s. Braga's struggling to try and get past them all. But doing alright at the moment. This has brought the gap down quite a bit. And I imagine Braga is now feeling a little bit of the pressure now, as he can pretty clearly see the Ferrari in his mirrors. Very late braking from Powell, a little bit of a lock-up, but managed to nail that absolutely perfectly. And that is how much he is pushing to try and catch Braga. At the moment, he does get caught up by the M4. He didn't know the M4 was going. So Braga gets a little bit of time back to that, but not all too much. So this is going to turn into a very interesting race. Jacob getting obviously also caught up in that we have McLaren going slowly, and McLaren with no rear wing. There is yellow flags out. They won't be allowed to overtake in this section. That is a McLaren going slowly and has lost its rear wing. So that's probably gone backwards into a barrier somewhere. And yeah, it's not looking good for Braga at the moment. I won't lie. Powell seems to be absolutely planted to the ground and absolutely flying at the moment. You can see how close they are now, and you see how close Marnik is as well. So this three-way battle is becoming more and more real every time we come to see it. So it is definitely getting quite intense indeed. And I imagine it is quite good to see this kind of racing. You don't really see it all too much, especially in a new game like Le Mans Ultimate. We didn't really know what to expect all too much, but to have this close racing already and just how multi-class is working pretty well, it's pretty impressive. But those two then are the LMGT3 leaders, that's P1 and P2, that's Wuni and Kenzo, now getting overtaken by the leaders of this race. So you can see them go by, but the gap 1.7 seconds then, and it's continuing to go down. So we'll have to see if how it all plays out. Just for reference then, we'll go on board with Braga, and you can sort of see the 1v1 battle. Well, I think I can change that to last lap time. I can. So you can see Powell, last lap, 2 seconds quicker than Braga. So that is the sort of gap we are expecting. At the moment, it's not, like I said, that gap is coming down pretty rapidly. Frank has made a position on the LMP2s. He's now making his way past another. You can see Frank there. So he started on pole for this race, and had a great fight with Braga on lap 1. Obviously had a little incident, and now just trying to get past some of these guys. That is the class leader of the LMP2s, and Braga is now making Frank is now making his way past, very easy pass up into P9 then, and he has to now catch 30 seconds to Patrick to make even more progress. But like I said, he's got around 2 hours still, so we'll have to see how that all comes into play. But the gap then now 1 second, and this is what we are all hoping to see, watching this three-way battle from these guys, and it's going to be quite an interesting one for sure. You can see the last lap time and the gap as well, so it's going to be very interesting to see how it's all going to work out for these guys. It is quite interesting. Sector 1 times pretty equal. Mainly Powell finds his time in the second and second and last sector, sorry, against Braga. So we'll have to see how that comes into play. At the moment, we'll go on board with Powell, so we'll see what he's experiencing. But you can see Marnik in the background as well, who's watching Powell, I believe. I think just hopefully if we can watch the last lap time again. No, Jacob was actually a second slower, but Jacob did have traffic last lap, so it'll be interesting to see what that gap updates to this lap, because Marnik does look a lot closer than he was last lap, so we'll have to see how that all plays out. But any other battles going on? There's a battle in the LMGP3 class. That's between Tyler Parker and Wellington. That is a 296 versus a BMW, and I'll have to keep an eye on the gap at the top. I will keep an eye on it. But Parker then looking to get past Wellington. Ferrari versus BMW, and pretty equal between the two. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see how it is. The first LMP2 guys have now been lapped, so it is looking pretty quick for these hypercar drivers. Speaking of, there is there's two guys in the pit lane. Benjamin Kloss leaving the pit lane, so he's doing the first pit stop of the race, and I'll see how that goes out for him. But we'll cut back then to the leaders, and it's now under a second is the gap, and it's now never for Powell and Jacob, who is a lot closer, I will say, to the last lap time. You can see Marnik 9/10 quicker. Obviously, Powell is 2 seconds quicker than Braga. So Marnik then looking like the leading driver to take it all from them. See how that goes. But this is the battle we're looking for. Braga versus Powell, and then Marnik will get involved when he's comfortable. Have to see. But we'll go on board with Powell then, get the right on board. Like I said, the control panel is a little bit buggy, so I'm going to keep looking for it. You can see exactly what Powell is seeing, something like what he's seeing. Maybe sort of see what he is seeing. The gap now 4/10 of a second. You see the gap at the bottom, the 1v1 overlay below your screen. You see the gap, the live updating gap. He locks up massively, and that's going to allow Braga to get away pretty nicely. Very lucky in Braga, otherwise that could have been an overtake for the next straight. And yeah, these cars are quite difficult to brake because they've got no ABS, so all driver skill on how they brake, when they brake. So it is definitely making it quite an interesting battle to watch. So just under 2 hours to go then in this race, so plenty of strategy wide open at the moment. What does Braga do? I mean, it's still quite early for a pit stop, but it won't be long before these guys will have to think about start coming in. So if Braga can hold out till then, he might just be okay. But if these guys get past him or fly away, it's not particularly good for Braga at the moment. But either way, these two pretty persistent, Mike now of getting past Braga. They are pretty how grounded their cars look onto the floor. They know the lines. They're absolutely flat out pushing. So it's great to see. We'll get an interview with Patrick and Harry very shortly. We'll see if we can catch them after this battle has finished, or if it ever finishes, is another thing to consider. Because at the moment, Braga's doing pretty well to hold on. All the while, Braga holds on. It is allowing Marnik to catch closer and closer. So, let's see. In other news, Frank has closed that gap to Jan, but there's a big slide for Patrick and Powell. He's massively late on the brakes. A big spin, and not what he wanted. That's the scene. That's what I meant about the brakes. You've got to be pretty much perfect. You've got to nail it exactly on the spot, otherwise that's going to happen. Too far on the brake bias, too low on the brake bias. It's going to be one or the other. It's going to be a spin or it's going to be a massive lockup. Unfortunately for Powell, it was a spin, and luckily for him, it didn't put him too far behind. Only 2 seconds, around 3 seconds to Marnik, but that was a big spin and almost into Braga. Luckily, Braga was already turned for Dunlop. So yeah, now a little bit of breathing room for Braga. I'd imagine he got probably a little bit scared that he saw this flying Ferrari in a white smoke flying towards him. But at the moment, yeah, doing all right. Now Marnik versus Braga, while Paul catches up. But we'll have to see how that goes for them too. But meanwhile, elsewhere in the field, looking at other battles, potentially. We'll see what is on offer. While trying to stay on top of this one, it's probably going to be Erasmus, Amstead, and Daniel. The Ferrari versus McLaren. I'll keep an eye on that gap at the top, of course, but at the moment it's these two. It's currently a battle for P5 in the class. We'll come through the Dunlop now. It'll be interesting to see if Daniel looks a little bit quicker than Erasmus looks a little bit quicker than Daniel at the moment. So we'll have to see if that Ferrari speed can catch up to the McLaren. The McLaren is going to be faster in a straight line, but Ferrari much quicker in the corners. Well, to be fair, they're pretty equal. With the Bob, I don't really know how equal these cars are, but speaking of knowledge, that's what the specification of the cars most likely will be, as the hypercar. It's a little bit held up by the McLaren there, but I'm not really sure why he lifted. But either way, it's allowed the Ferrari to potentially look for a move on the McLaren. Then as he comes through towards the first chicane, he doesn't go for it just yet. And LMP2 in the background getting past LMGT3. Have a look at the last lap times for these two. It wasn't a last lap time for Rasmus Amstead apparently. Probably an invalidated lap for that matter. But best lap times, Rasmus was quicker, so I'd like safe to say, more than likely, Rasmus is the faster driver, but he's got LMP2 right behind the both of them as they go side by side. So what is the LMP2 going to do in this situation is Rasmus tries to find his way past the McLaren, and the LMP2 is just having to hold the throttle and wait for it to find an opportunity to get past. Big snap for the LMP2 as he does get past the both of them, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Meanwhile, Jacob has actually fallen off the back of Braga, but I would imagine this is probably because he's still trying to clear LMGT3s at the moment. That's probably why he's lost a little bit of time. But either way, Braga has had a lucky escape for now, and I wonder how long it will last for. But obviously, you got 1 hour 50 left of this race, and you imagine that some of these guys will be coming in and around 25 minutes ish, around that for their first stop, so the fuel won't go that long. And then the strategy really does come into play. As our first hypercar does come into the pit lane, and it is Patrick, who has to get moved back to his box. He's a little bit too deep in his box. But he'll be the first hypercar to come in, and it'll be Jan, who does follow him in. So some of these hypercars are boxing now, so that's got me thinking, are these guys doing an early pit stop, or are these guys starting to run out of fuel? We'll have to see how that gets answered very shortly. What does Braga do? Because he has got Marnik, but don't forget Pal. He had a massive spin a little bit earlier, but don't carry him out just yet. He's more than likely to try and catch back up to Braga at this stage. Braga does a very nice traffic management there, does get past us. Gets a little bit held up on the exit of the chicane. But for now, it is looking pretty good for Braga. He's got the gap. So not a comfortable gap, but he has got a gap, much better than it was. So I'm sure he'll be a little bit happy with that. A little bit slow on the entry, but we'll have to see. Well, it was a personal best sector 2 for Braga, so he definitely is pushing to try and get away, because Jacob has just found massive amounts of time where Braga is slow through the corner, but Marnik has to get past that GT3. He does get past the GT3, you can see there's Powell in the background as well, so plenty of action to come, that's for sure. Speaking of action, there isn't much going on in the LMP2 class at the moment. The LMP2 cars seem to be non-existent at the moment. Apart from the occasional one, there's not much of a battle going on. Christian Berinda still leads that class. I should have put the tower back on for you guys. My apologies. Yeah, you can see Berinda still leads that class, but Charles Rink still around 3 seconds behind, so still a little bit of a gap. They're fighting for P9 overall, and definitely in the mix still. But yeah, you can see it's looking quite interesting. You can see pit stop times as well on the left hand side for those guys. There's the LMGT3s that are pitting. Yeah, we'll have to see all that. But currently watching then these two, as they do both come into the pit lane, Braga and Marnik and Powell as well. So now it's going to be the question, who gets the better stop? And this is going to be real interesting now, so I imagine all the other hypercars will have to come in as well. So it does set them back. Marnik has to get moved back to his box, he misses the box. Powell's still in. I didn't see if Braga had to get stopped, but Marnik did have to get moved, and a little bit late for Powell, and he does have to get moved a little bit as well. So again, it is looking off Stenborg and Braga who gets moving first. It is quite interesting now, but it's Matthias that leads the race. He has gone past, they haven't pitted yet. LMGT3 gets released then, and that's Van Nimmen as well, so it's going to be quite interesting to see if Matthias is going to run out of fuel, because I imagine if these guys are pitted, but there's Marnik. Marnik has now passed Braga in the pit lane, so Braga has had to take a longer stop. I wonder if he's got damage. That might explain why he's a little bit slower, and he does get released, and so does Powell. So Braga has lost 2 positions in the pit lane. It's not really what he would have wanted at all. Marnik then does take net race lead. Frank has got himself back up into P4. We know how quick he is, but he has got to stop, and so does, unless he did an earlier stop, I'm not sure, but I don't think he did. So there's one way to find out. That's clicking on number of stops. On there you can see the cars that have stopped. It's the top 3 haven't stopped, so Frank has stopped. So as it stands, Frank has the net race lead of the 2.4 hours of Le Mans, and all the way Jacob Marnik and Powell, who got ahead of Braga in the pit lane. So great from those two. I wonder if Braga had damage that he had to fix, but I'll have to see how that goes. But you can see again all the stops on the left hand side. Top 2 LMP2 guys are in the pits as well, so that's Rink and Berinda. And yeah, you can see the stops, so the top 3 haven't stopped, so they'll be coming in relatively shortly. obviously Franek in P2 at the moment, is the driver that started last. Like completely last, but 47th on the grid, and he's currently P2, so he's done pretty well. To be uphill, he has got to stop, but either way, he's doing a pretty good job on all of that. But you have to see. I don't know if half these overlays do work. Yeah, you can see energy remaining. It does not seem to be working. You can see positions gained on lost as well. You can see Frank gained 18 positions. I don't know why it's not showing all of them, because I know Franek in P2 at the moment, the guy you're watching on your screen, has indeed made loads of positions. So I'm not sure that's why not really worked, but we'll have to see how it is. But we'll see the incoming times between everyone there as well. And then Team Braga, Pal and Marnik as well. So yeah, it is great to see. Great battle, and that's what I meant by strategy. Marnik and Pal getting the best of that in the pits, and Braga unfortunately losing out. Wanted to get an interview with Harry and Patrick soon. I'm not sure where Harry is. Harry has DNF, unfortunately, so I don't think we'll really get an interview, or much of an interview with Harry. Patrick is still in this race. I believe he did pit not long ago. He's currently P9 in class and P9 overall, of course. On his own at the moment, he's currently 30 seconds down from Ayrton Alves in P8. So he has got a little bit of time to find at the moment, but he seems to be having a fairly quiet race. Go speak to Patrick and see what he has to say. Actually, we'll have to see how that goes. Quickly go in board with them. They are all in a voice chat together. I'm not sure if I can join. I will just double check and ask. But we'll have to see. But for now then, watching the lead of this race, and as Matthias in the pit lane, same with Santiago, and same with Franek as well. So yeah, we'll have to see how that all goes for all of them. But Frank then, obviously, had a little incident, or pitted a little bit earlier on, and now he's gained a 12-second lead over it all. So he's done pretty well for himself at the moment. Unfortunately, Braga losing out on all of that, but we'll have to see. There's been a fair amount of DNFs, unfortunately, but I imagine this is how it goes in a new game like this. You don't really know what to expect all too much. And, but for now, we've got pretty decent racing, so yeah, I've just got confirmation we can join. So we'll go and ask what exactly is happening. Hello, everyone. Harry, you unfortunately have DNF. I didn't really see what happened. Is there anything that particularly happened in general? Yeah, quite unfortunate. Other than that, like the racing before, obviously I didn't really. There's quite a lot of action at the first couple of corners. Do you know really what happened there, or is it just more of a not sure? Yeah, definitely. It's definitely been a good amount of racing between all the classes at the moment. And someone still in this race then is obviously Patrick. You're doing, well, you were doing pretty well. Obviously, you've now DNF. Oh no, you haven't DNF. Sorry. My control panel has decided to glitch out. But you're still in this race, Patrick. Currently P7. But well, how's your race going so far? Yeah, that's that, I suppose that is quite optimal. Yeah, pretty good. So we actually have seen a fair amount of hypercars spin out. We saw not long ago Powell and P2 massive spin out at the Dunlop, almost crashing into Braga for the race lead. So these cars are quite tricky on the brakes by the seems of it. Are they? Yeah, I'd imagine so. Yeah. It's probably quite scary, I'd imagine. Alright, well, I'll let you get back into your race. Yeah, that's traffic as well. Yeah, I'll let you get back to your race, and we'll catch up with you a little bit later. So thank you guys, and back in a bit. So yeah, you heard from them then, and from Patrick, like driving on ice on lap 1, and it's not really ideal at all. Instead of managing traffic at the end there as well, like we thought, it is quite tricky to gain time from managing traffic, and you can see the BMWs going at it ahead of you. That is, I think, P10 and P9. That's Duncan, Roderick and David. So another side-by-side battle as they're both getting overtaken by the hypercar of Patrick. So great battles, but looks of it, but Roderick decides it's enough, and he's going to come to the pit lane a little bit too late for the brakes and cuts across the gravel. But yeah, plenty of action then at the top, but I believe Frank has DNF, unfortunately. I'm not sure what's happened there. He's had an incident, so he crashed out from the race lead after getting the race lead, which is super unfortunate, but it does mean Marnik is now our new race leader. So, again, all swapping and changing at the moment. Marnik, obviously, he was first in practice. You wouldn't have seen that at extreme practice. We did some pretty good lap times in practice. Actually, I think I can show you the practice sessions. I think I can. For mixed, and then if I go that, yeah, you can now see. In practice, I see Marnik was on top, 3:33. It was raining in practice, I must imagine, and I think it is set to rain towards the end of this race. So you've got 1 hour and a half roughly left on the clock. I think in the final half an hour or so, it is meant to, or it is said to rain. So you have to see how that goes and how that affects driving. But there was the standings for the rainy practice that we had. Obviously, if you weren't here for quali, I'll quickly show you quali. It was Frank taking pole position, Braga 6/10 behind, Powell, and then Marnik, and then obviously all those guys as well. So it was quite a quite tight quali for the hypercars, and at the moment I imagine it's just all about trying to stay consistent and, like Patrick just said, staying comfortable on the brakes. Otherwise, you'll do what we saw Powell do not long ago and have a massive spin out. And if anything, like Harry said, easily can end your race pretty quickly. And, unfortunately, like I said, we've lost a fair amount of cars so far. I imagine it's just a lot of skill issues or just the trickiness of these cars. But we'll have to see. Marnik doing a pretty good job at the top at the moment. Trying to settle in. Obviously, not much of a gap. Does get past the LMP2 there, but P15 has been lapped now. Has got Christian Berinda next on his list, who's currently fighting. No, he hasn't, because Berinda's DNF. Just as I said that. It's not ideal, so we're seeing more and more cars, unfortunately, DNF. It's that or my race control. My control panel is not updating as quick as I'd like it to. But yeah, it's another DNF from the top of the LMP2 class. We know Berinda was fighting Charles Rink a little bit earlier, but it does obviously promote Charles Rink to P1 on class for the LMP2s. So either way, they've been pretty good so far at all that, and he's doing a pretty good job at the moment, managing that lead pretty consistently. But that does mean, unfortunately, we only have 8 LMP2s still left in this race, and also means we only have 11 hypercars left. We still have a fair amount of LMGT3s, so still plenty of action to come. It was a personal best for Aaron Alves last time, but he has got to get past Van Nimmen in the BMW at the moment. So we'll have to see. Obviously, you weren't here for briefing, anyone, but anyone that was here for briefing, you would have heard Harry talk about some of these cars. Obviously, they start on the hybrid battery. So that will be cars like the Cadillac, this Porsche, and the Lamborghini. If they're in the pits, they have to have around 5% battery left in the car to start up. Otherwise, the car won't be starting, and that'll be race end. So, at the moment, then, doing a pretty good job in P9 at the moment, and around 30 seconds to gap to Jan. So he's got a little bit more to catch up, but at the moment, staying pretty consistent, managing the traffic pretty well. So, other than that, then, that's pretty good. But Jacob now actually passing Charles Rink for position. This is not something I'd expect to see this far into the race, but this is for position. This is Jacob versus Charles Rink. I think not much of a fight Charles can really put up at all versus a hypercar, but I'm sure he won't really put up much of a fight anyway. But this is Jacob. This is the last place of the hypercar class versus first place of the LMP2 class. So that's what you're watching at the moment. Well, obviously, it's just going to be a pretty easy pass for Jacob, but interesting to see the fact that Jacob is still behind LMP2, but it doesn't matter. Another thing I was not expecting is our LMGT3 race leader, Jacob, BMW, is ahead of an LMP2 of Andrew. See, Andrew's getting passed by a hypercar. A little bit of a late reaction, but does let him past. But yeah, he's actually down as behind some of the LMGT3s. So interesting to see. Obviously, everyone drives at a different pace, of course, but interesting to see that there is still quite a lot of difference in the way the cars drive. Either way, but still, Duncan has come into the box. Robert is still in the box from last time we saw him, so not too sure what's going on there. Either way, lots of action going on. Frenek has come into the pit lane, but he's broken down. The looks of it, he's hit a barrier or something. He's DNF, unfortunately. Looks like he just went into the pit lane a little bit too quickly, and it's probably caused major damage to his BMW. Also, he started last and he got up so many positions. It's massively unfortunate for Frenek there, but these cars, pretty good damage model. Obviously, this game based on rFactor 2. If you've ever played it before, pretty good tyre simulation and tyre model as a base. So, anyway, doing pretty well for themselves at the moment. And obviously, I have to see. If you don't know a little bit about the LMGT3 class, obviously it's new in WEC for this year. They used to run the GTE class, obviously, which is more. The GTEs are probably more powerful. The GT3 got more aero and more like a GT2 if you ever played ACC with us. But with GT3 aero, it's probably the best I can describe it to someone that primarily plays ACC. Obviously, ACC GT3s are a lot different to the WEC LMGT3s. Obviously, it's just a base GT3 stuck on modifications to be more fit for endurance racing. That was stuff like probably different aero, different wing types as well. to be more suitable to these straights. As we're watching Kenzo fly down at the moment, but we'll stay on board with Jacob for a little bit. As he is racing Andrew behind, like I was just mentioning. But yeah, like I said, just a base GT3, just different modifications, and obviously a good amount of road skills behind them. It's like I said, we've seen so far from these guys is they are a much slower category in terms of what else we've got. Obviously, LMP2 in the hypercar, but they are great for racing, still at quite speed, and it's going to be quite interesting, especially through some of the high-speed corners, like obviously some of those chicanes and the Porsche curves. These cars can be quite interesting when they're side by side, more able to go side by side into those kind of corners, as they're much slower and much more able to provide close-up racing. But either way, all classes that we have on display today are very good indeed. We've got a decent amount of battles between everyone at the moment, so relatively happy with that. I'm actually on board with Powell, who has closed the gap to Jacob a little bit. I'm not sure if it's because he's managing traffic or not, but Powell has managed to pick up the pace just a little bit. We'll stick on the 1v1 last lap battle. You can sort of see what we're thinking. You see Powell's a 10th quicker, now by 5/10 slower, and oh Jesus, now 1 second quicker than Jacob. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how this battle is. So this is for the lead of the race. Obviously Powell had a massive spin out earlier and was way behind Braga and Powell, but now has caught up again, so great to see. But yeah, just picked up obviously the hypercars, like I mentioned earlier. They're just a mix of different regulations, and now they're being put together in one class with many different manufacturers, obviously making these kind of hypercars. So obviously next year, hopefully with an update with the Le Mans Ultimate as well, we'll have the Aston Martin Valkyrie in the game, and I really hope that will be a good car to drive. But we'll have to see. You can see Braga in the background as well there, so Braga's not too far behind either. Don't count him out just yet. I know he did lose 2 positions in the pit lane, but it should be interesting for Braga to see what he can do. I've been really interested to see how much fuel these guys are using. I can't find out any way I can see, but obviously fuel usage and energy usage would be a big benefit to a stream. Obviously we have got the energy overlay, but it doesn't actually work, unfortunately. But yeah, it is quite pretty good, and the overlays are pretty handy to have, and especially in a game like this, it's a huge help to have overlays like this, especially they can be controlled completely by me, so I don't have to worry about ACC graphics doing my heading at all. It's just I can customize exactly what I want. It's a big benefit to a stream, and very thankful for the devs to implemented it into the game, because it does make streaming not only a lot more fun, but a lot more interesting as well. So fantastic to have all of that, of course, and to all be controlled by a couple clicks on the control panel is pretty handy indeed. But Powell then getting a little bit closer to Marnik, and at the moment it's quite an interesting battle between the Toyota and the Ferrari, 2 Polish drivers going at it then, as the gap gets ever closer, and be another interesting battle. And if it goes on for too long, Braga will be there in a matter of seconds, especially if they find lap traffic. So that will be quite interesting to see as well. Let's see how that all plays out for those two. Obviously, managing traffic, I imagine, is quite difficult in Sector 3, for example. It's going to be quite difficult, especially when obviously those GT3s and LMP2s are quite a bit slower through the corners than a hypercar is. So yeah, they've got to try find an outside or an inside line, or can't really afford to stay behind them all too much, otherwise they lose more time than they really want to. But I'd now like to see, as they cross the line, what the gap was at last lap. I think it's gone up, so I think maybe Marnik put his foot down just a little bit. We'll see if that updates or not. Last lap time, yeah, Powell was a little bit slower, so Marnik has put his foot down just a bit, just enough to keep the gap stable. The best thing in this case. I'm just going to take a quick break for a drink of water, and then I'll be back very shortly. I'll leave it on Powell for now. I think get a good onboard, and I'll leave him nice ASMR lap of the Marnik racetrack. Very shortly. Not the best. All we see is a rearview mirror. Either way, looks like Powell has lost time to Marnik. So Marnik's definitely put in some laps now. He definitely made an effort of trying to get away from Powell, but looks of it, Braga has caught up a little bit. He's only there, as indicated by that. So we could still have the battle for the podium with Braga versus Powell. 1 hour 20 left in this race. So we've just gone a little bit over the halfway mark now. So we can see what the drivers' plans are. We have to stop again, and probably another 2 or 3 times maybe, before the end of this race. See the bouncing from Braga's car. That's quite a bit. Quite a bit of bouncing. We'll go on board. The looks of it, Braga hasn't been best that time in this race. It's very similar to Marnik. It's 3 minutes 9.8. For reference, Powell's 3 minutes 29.4. The best lap was France starting a pole for the race. Different Braga find himself in a massive collective of LMGP3s. That LMGP3 battle is not this one, but it is this one now. Is Rasmus Amstead and Tyler Parker, as well as Daniel, as Tyler Parker goes a lot deep and allows Amstead to get by as two Ferraris chasing after McLaren, and yeah, we'll have to see how that all plays out for them at the moment, but Daniel seems to keep it his distance, so it's only around a second. Keep an eye on the gaps between everyone at the top of the field, as Braga has now reached around a second, but we'll stay on board for these guys for now. Yeah, it's looking very interesting for these guys, the MGT3s, like I said earlier. They're very good to provide close racing, and I've heard how decently realistic these cars are. I'm not sure how true that is, don't take that as a true statement. That's what I've heard, and a lot of people are saying it, but how realistic, appealing, or unsounding these cars are. I mean, sound I could probably relate to a lot. McLaren sounds pretty much spot on from the off-board, but massive little bit of a moment for Amstead there in the forward chicane, but managed to hold on nicely. But yeah, Ferrari off board. I haven't had much of the Ferrari all too much, but it does sound pretty close. So yeah, I mean, pretty good from developers, I guess, to make such a good sounding car as well. And it's good for racing as well, of how realistic these cars are, because it really puts, you know, I forgot the word. My English is dying. Big moment for Amstead in the grass. Maybe painted too much of the stream, not the racetrack. Obviously, I'd understand, because I was streaming. I'd understand why you went into the grass, but can't blame him for that. But other than that, then Braga has found himself within 7/10 of Powell then, and this battle reignites once more. But this time it's Braga on the attack and Powell on the defence. Where can Braga attack then? Obviously coming down then past the Dunlop. So we've got the chicanes, probably just good slipstream, and try not break Powell, but he's a little bit too far away from that. But we'll have to see what it's going to be like out of this chicane. If they both get a good exit, then we're going to be in the same situation. But if Braga gets a better one, we'll have to see. But this battle is getting very, very, very good indeed. Looked like a pretty good exit for Braga, but probably even better one for Powell at the moment. So we'll see how it all plays out. At the moment, Braga doing a fantastic job after probably fixing that damage. And I imagine he had damage because he wasn't this fast before his pit stop, so he's doing pretty good at the moment. He's probably got caught up in all that lap 1 challenge. Big slide for Braga at the moment. It's probably not ideal, some would say, but still chasing after Powell. It was a personal best for his first sector for Braga, so he definitely is pushing, indeed. So I have to keep an eye on this battle. He is getting closer, but if Braga keeps sliding around the place, then it's not going to get much better. But we'll have to see. Well, then we'll look a bit down the grid. Rasmus still on the back then of Daniel. As you can see, the slipstream that Ferrari's got, and McLaren much quicker through that set of corners. But he still has got the Ferrari right behind them, so we've got a decent amount of action heading towards us. To see how close these guys are, especially after this amount of racing. I'm surprised the racing is this close for a throughway battle, and potentially even a four-way car, because you see that 296 in the background is catching. So we'll see how it all plays out, of course. It'll be quite interesting to see what kind of race we could be up against in the MGP3 class. because obviously these guys are fighting for P3 at the moment. So there is obviously basically a 3-car, potentially 4-car fight for P3. These guys are all trying to get past us. Marnik's going to get massively held up by LMP2 and LMGT3s everywhere. Not much Marnik can have really done about that, nor could the LMGT3s or the LMP2. Everyone's trying to pass each other, but that has massively dropped Powell's time to Marnik. But Marnik is not getting a little bit of benefit from Powell and Braga, who's now getting their way past these guys. But we could now reignite a 3-way car fight for P1, and now that is definitely going to be interesting. I'd like to see what the gap was between these two last time round. We'll get that data up for you now. It was invalidated lap. Thank you, Adam von Ultimate, for that interesting data. Again, fantastic data from Le Mans Ultimate. So, interesting enough, these two are very, very close. Braga is not in the slipstream range. They have to get past the LMP2 P1 in class, Charles Rink. They have to get past him. I imagine both of them will try to do that on this straight, but I think Braga's probably going to get held up into the chicane. So Howell might have a little bit of a thank you to the gods, I guess. But I don't think it's really affected Braga too much because Charles went quite deep into the corner, so I don't think it's affected him that much. So that's got away pretty nicely. Marnik has actually pulled again that gap back up. So the gap that we thought we might have a 3-way car fight has gone back up, but it's still within 3 seconds. It's definitely possible. So hopefully, the next couple of laps we should have an interesting thing. But Patrick finds himself in the box then for his pit stop, and to see when these guys decide to come in, if Braga can try and make up some time that he lost last time out in the pits again. But 7/10 the gap then between Braga and Powell, and this is the battle for P2. And this is what on quite a massive lockup, but looks it for Powell. It's not really what he wants. That's really going to hurt his tyres, and it has allowed Braga to catch 3/10 alone in that corner, and he's going to get a massive slipstream down the back on the Ferrari. So it's now turning into a very promising move for Braga at the moment. So we could see a change of positions very shortly. We'll have to see what it will be like. And Braga does come in a lot quicker than the Ferrari. He's going to get a better exit than the Ferrari. So Braga's definitely pushing now. He's definitely got that gap down. It's around 0.3 of a second. And to top it all off, Powell has got a GT3 ahead of him as well. And they should both get past on this straight. But at the moment, it's looking like Braga might even look for a move. And probably a little bit far away at the moment. But he's definitely looking to eye one up relatively shortly. It's just a question of when these guys are coming in, and I imagine that's probably on Braga's mind as well. Does he go for the move, or does he hold off a little bit longer and wait until after the pit stop? And at the moment, Braga looks so close to the back of how they're like magnets, the pair of them, and at the moment looking very intense. Braga all over the back of the Ferrari, and he's trying to look for a move somewhere. They come into the Ford chicane to go. They haven't made a pit stop, so they are going up one more. Massive slide for Braga though. He's going to lose time because of that, and he has to cut the curb, and it's not helped him at all. He's lost quite a bit of time from that, but they have got a little bit longer to go. The gap, not that much. It's only gone up by 0.3. So Braga didn't lose all too much, but that's probably a bit of dirty air included in that as well. It's probably not at all helped him at all, but he's already on the back of Powell, and I imagine by the time they get to the straight, Braga will be saying, or looking in his mirrors, waving goodbye. But at the moment, I don't know what it's going to be like, because it's looking pretty equal between the two of them. So a massive exit for Powell ahead. Might have been a bit of track limits involved in that. But Braga is going to get a great slipstream. Actually, he's now nailed this chicane. and get another fantastic slipstream, and then, only then, you might have a chance to get by. But depending on the exit, you could be looking for an earlier overtake than he expected. Oh, Paul Braga can get the right on board. Again, thanks Animal Government for buggy. There we go, that's the one. This time, the rear view mirror is not in the way, so you can see exactly what we want to see in this battle. This is definitely starting to shape up to be quite interesting fight. And 4P2, of course, which is okay now. Braga's got to absolutely nail this to have a chance. This lap does seem to be a little bit slower than Powell through that chicane, so he's got to find a little bit more time to get to 8/10 on the second. As you can see, indicated obviously by the gap display overlay in the bottom of the screen. You can see we're heading towards now an hour left, 60 minutes. So if these guys can overextend their pit stop by a little bit, they should be able to do the hour without a pit stop. So it depends when they're coming in though. If they're coming in the next couple of laps, then they're going to have to stop again, most likely. It's hard to see, but at the moment, Braga's doing a brilliant job. He's got a personal best, sector 2. A very interesting podium. Monik, as I said, he's still only around 2.3 seconds up the road, so it is still quite a massive gravel trap for someone. I believe that's probably an LMP2. It is an LMP2, but that's Jacob Horning up ahead. Braga's going to get blocked by the LMP GT3 a little bit, but I think Powell went a little bit deep as well, so if anything, it's game time from that. That's a great exit for Braga. This is definitely shaping up to be an absolutely fantastic race, and with everyone within the hypercar class at the top pretty close. The MGT3 class very close as well. I think the LMP2s are quite distant from each other. But at the moment, then Braga very, very close to the back of Powell. They have got a lapped hypercar to get through. That will be Jacob. There's lots of Jacobs in this race, and they both come to the pit stops then, and so does Marnik. I believe Powell has to cut, and Braga doesn't. Look how close they are as they all come to the pit stop. This is our top 3, and coming in then potentially their last pit stop. If not, there'll be one more after this. So it is now shaping up to be quite an interesting battle. And I mean, this is definitely starting to pique my interest. Obviously, Marnik stopped first, then Braga, and now Powell. So it's definitely becoming a very interesting race at the moment. We'll have to see who does leave the pits first. Probably watch from Braga's POV is the best one. You can see there's Powell at a red Ferrari in the background. Marnik will probably get away first. We can only see him as he comes across as he'll come across our screens in a minute. But yeah, top 3 in the hypercar class. This is turning out to be quite an exciting race, as you can see these two getting away pretty nicely. So, like I said earlier, Braga, there's Marnik leaving the pits. Then Braga will have to, and Braga gets released just behind Marnik. So Braga's got an absolute brilliant pit stop, and he's gonna gain the position on Powell in the pit stop. So he's gained one position back, and he's right behind Marnik as well. So this is definitely turning out to be a very exciting race, and another pit stop. So Braga losing out in the first pit stop, but gaining out the second. Manages to get himself up into net P2. It's only Matthias, who's currently got purple sector 1. For some reason, Matthias has come out of nowhere and started setting some serious pace, and he's done brilliantly so far. But now this is what we're watching. Braga and Marnik probably not had the best stop, probably misses Jax again, and now Braga's on the back of him, and now Powell's behind Braga. So for the second time we've missed out another battle for the lead of this race by pit stops, but hopefully there's no excuses. So it's definitely become interesting, but Powell's all over the back of Braga. They get a great slipstream. I'll be interested to know if they fight this or not. That's something I'm really interested to know is, has Matthias stopped? That is my next big question. No, so Matthias in P1 at the moment only stopped once, so he'll stop again, most likely. And at the moment, he seems to be making an absolute meal out of it. He's P1, as you can see. I'll show you the driver information. I don't think I can show you. Can I show you the quality information? You can see there, he's quicker, only just 37 thousandths of a second in Sector 1, purple Sector 1, and he's 5 tenths quicker in Sector 2. So he's definitely pushing, and at the moment he's on his way, by the looks of it, to try and take the fastest lap of the race off of Frank, who was unfortunately DNF'd earlier in this race. At the moment he's got a little bit of LMP2 traffic to get by, and he will have got held up there, so that'll probably be an aborted lap for himself, unfortunately. But either way then, still watching Pal and Braga and Marnik. Obviously this is our net top 3. This is really getting exciting now. I want to know if Santiago is pitted. That's why I didn't check that. Santiago hasn't either. So the Cadillac in the background, although in the fight, full position, has to stop again. So now this is turning into real interesting. That's obviously all these guys will be on new tyres, so pace has been reset. It's going to be back to who's the fastest driver now. And at the moment, Pau got a brilliant exit on Braga, and the roles have been reversed once again. And Marnik just trying to fly away as quickly as possible. That's all the only option he's really got. Pau has to stay behind the NGT3, but NGT3 goes off to the grass, gets a little bit scared by the hypercar, and luckily for Pau, he only lost a little bit of time out of that. But yeah, it is now turning up into be a very interesting race, and obviously 1 hour to go then, only 60 minutes left, and is all or nothing for these guys in the top 3. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of pace these guys can do in the final hour, and they really want, or what they're expecting will be interesting as well. But come on to start their first time lap after the pit stop, and at the moment it's looking like pretty equal gaps between the lot of them. Braga is within a second of Marnik, and that's because Marnik is getting held up by the AO LMP2. Braga will get a little bit held up there as well, so the gap should equal out once again, but it hasn't, so Braga has got away with that, and has allowed himself to basically gain free lap time on Marnik. Matthias still hasn't stopped yet. I imagine he would like to stop soon. But the gap now less than a second between Marnik and Braga. This is for net race lead at the moment, so this is going to be quite an interesting fight, I'd like to imagine. And if these guys have one more pit stop and they gain position from the pit stop, I might just cry. I want this race to end on complete battle, side-by-side action, hopefully. As much as strategy is all a part of any Le Mans race, it is always exciting to see position being taken on track. So hopefully that's what we get, but obviously you can't ask for everything. But we'll have to see. Marnik has seemed to put his foot down a little bit. He's getting a little bit of time from Braga at the moment. So pretty equal pace all 3 of these guys at the moment. So if this is the case, we could be seeing a massive lockup from Marnik. Is that Marnik? It's not. Is it? No, I don't think it is. It's a Toyota, and I got scared. Thought it was Marnik, but no, it is Jan in the other Toyota. I just saw a Toyota go off into the gravel, and I thought it was Marnik. Indeed, he did get a little bit worried then for a second, but like I was saying, it is going to be quite an interesting race, and even after this race, future events, obviously ACM, we host lots of different Le Mans events that you're of course free to join, so you check out on the Swimgrid for the full listing of events, or go on the website for the calendar, and they'll take you to the Swimgrid to get yourself signed up, of course. Plenty of different event types. We just actually had 60 minutes at Bahrain, and had a 45-minute at Fuji in the rain as well, so Plenty of different tracks, plenty of different conditions, and it's like I said, this is our first proper endurance race that we're hosting on this game, and it's been pretty good success, as all three of these guys now within a second of each other, so it's now getting a little bit interesting. Pretty much on the edge of my seats, waiting for something big to happen. Hopefully not a crash, because that would be quite unfortunate. But yeah, we'll have to see. We know Powell has been struggling on the braking. He had that massive spin. He's had a couple of lockups, so maybe less confident on the brakes than the likes of Marnik and Braga. So we'll have to see, of course. But at the moment, these guys are pretty much identical lap times. They're literally not separating much on the interval delta. So we've been pretty good at doing that. We'll go for a quick update then on the class standings while we watch this battle in the background. For the hyperclass, we'll get the full list for you. We only have 9 cars remaining, so we had a big hypercar crash at the start of this race. We lost a lot of cars, and but yeah, it is Marnik, Braga, and then Al, followed by Matthias, who has now stopped, and then obviously you got the rest leading down to P9, and then obviously you've got the LMP2s, so there wasn't many of these left. Unfortunately, we only had 12 joining this race, and we only have 6 remaining, so we've lost half the LMP2 grid. I think a lot of those were due to either contacts with the hypercars at the start of this race. Like I said, there was a big pile up at the Dunlop, and lost a few of those, but it is still Charles Brink leads the LMP2 class, followed by Pavel and then Vladimir. So they've been doing a pretty good job managing that consistency. So then for our LMGT3s, we have 18 of them started this race. We only have 12 remaining, so we've still got a decent amount of them. It's currently Willie, followed by Tron, and then obviously Kenzo as well. So Kenzo has lost position to Tron overall, but only currently in the pit stop. Yeah, so you can see all the different classes then into full effect. So we have had a pretty big grid, and now some great, excellent racing. And Braga's been massively held up by the likes of P8 and P9 on the LMP3 class, and has allowed Powell to get really close to the back of Braga. So it's quite interesting, but we'll have to see how that is. But yeah, you can see, we'll go to the multi-class phase, you can sort of see roughly everyone all together for that, but it is looking like quite an interesting battle, and at the moment it looks like Powell will be looking for an overtake on Braga. Braga lost around a whole second behind those 2 M4s, so not really all too much ideal. Now under pressure from Powell. You can see how much he's gaining in that Ferrari, how much later he's more confident is Powell than Braga in that section completely, and at the moment it's looking like Powell might even get a move on Braga relatively soon. So interesting to see how this will go on board with Powell then, with a better camera angle so you can see a little bit more this time, but again it's still looking pretty close. Plays out, but for now then, Powell looks to be wanting to try to get past Braga as quickly as possible. So this is one of the fastest sections of the racetrack, and Powell just misjudged it. So looks like Powell is quite mistake prone, in the most polite way possible. Sometimes I think drivers have, I also have that trait, unfortunately. Does mean to lose concentration, but there is a McLaren in the wall in the Ford chicane. I'm not particularly sure what's happening there, but the McLaren is in the wall. Unfortunately there's no live replay I can really go into, otherwise I would have done that about like 16 times already, but there's a yellow flag out for that McLaren. Really unfortunate to see another LMGT3 by the looks of it, but not wanting to lose is Braga. trying everything to try and stop Pau from getting past. Oh, he's only home at the moment just to gain slipstream, puts LMP2 ahead of him, and try and use that to defend from Pau behind. But LMP2 is getting caught up on the LMP3, and this is the problem with monoplace racing. They all cut across, and Braga is going to go side by side with Pau then into the chicane. And this is what I meant by getting it on track, as Pau then on the inside fought the first chicane, and that has probably cost Braga that position, that multi-class. But I think the Lamborghini potentially quicker in a straight line. I think he is. As it's still going to go side by side. Braga a little bit more hesitant to turn in, but he's going to gain from that. Pau can't really find the racing line. Braga leaves just enough space, and they do get by. But they've got to be more careful, because that is Jan, who wants to unlap himself on these guys, so he's not particularly probably too happy about that, but we'll have to see how that goes. I need another drink of water, so I'll just give me 2 seconds. Okay, I'm back, and Pau then trying to get a relap Jan. Actually, Jan only got that because of the massive hold up from that, but it looks like he's trying to block the Ferrari for some reason. And actually making the Ferrari work for it. There's contact being made, and it's made Pau to lock up. And not particularly sure what Jan was doing there in particular, but it looks like he's trying to block the Ferrari from unlapping himself. But either way, that's cost Pau a little bit of time for Braga, but luckily not all too much. But we'll have to move on to the MGT3 class again. It's like Radek, who haven't really spoke about too much, has caught up with Amstead. We did see him in the background maybe a couple laps ago. Has now caught up to his other 296 friend, and is now knocking on his door, asking to let him go. He's very close at the moment. It's half a second between these two at the moment, and it's looking like a very close battle. So hopefully it should be quite an interesting one, I imagine. So I'll have to see how it all plays out. But yeah, it should be an interesting battle on MG3 class. Like I mentioned before, they are quite good class for close racing. Always a good fun watch. So I'll have to cut back with these guys a little bit later. I haven't really spoken much about the LMP2s because, Alex said earlier, there wasn't much action. Charles has 87 seconds over P2 in class for LMP2. He's done pretty well. Obviously, it was mainly Charles versus Berinda a little bit earlier, but unfortunately, Berinda did unfortunately have the DNF. For what reason, I don't know, but he did DNF and has allowed Charles the lead of this class. And for now, he's been maintaining that and keeping good consistency throughout this race. It's personal best in Sector 1 for Charles, so it's not like he's chilling either. He's definitely going for the lap time. And he's doing a great job at that. But someone who's doing another great job is Pau. He's continuing to put pressure on Braga. At the moment, we rejoin this, but Jan is still behind them and is still trying to unlap himself at the moment. So we'll have to see. He did have a faster Sector 1 than these guys, so we'll have to see what the plan of action is. But yeah, Pau currently chasing Braga, and yeah, we'll have to see. There was a chance of rain, I believe, in the final couple of minutes of this race. Around, I think it was around half past, or 30 minutes remaining. Big lock up for Braga though. That's going to cost him on this next straight. He has to cede the position. He's probably been given a track limits for that, and he's had to lift and cede that position. He wouldn't be happy with the game for that, but it is unfortunately what the game rules. If you don't give it up, then you're most likely getting a drive-through or disqualification. So super unfortunate for Braga. This is how the game goes. Unfortunately, now he has to be on the attack once more and chase after Pau. But yeah. It's definitely interesting, and we'll see how that goes. Lots of personal bests around for everyone, in all classes actually, so everyone finding a little bit of time in the final hour. we've got around 49 minutes remaining then of this race, and most likely one more pit stop for everyone. That's a lot of traffic ahead of these guys, so let's see how they all manage it. We'll go on board with Al, see how he deals with the traffic. There's one Ferrari, he's gone. He's got another Ferrari ahead of him. Try to get past him very soon. He's getting a little bit held up here. Big held up. And that's probably going to help Braga. Actually, a brilliant run to potentially make a move, but then so is Jan, all the way behind these guys. Again, trying to unlap himself from the race leaders. So I'll see how that goes. There's another Ferrari for Pal and Braga and Jan to overtake. But you can see how close Braga is. He's going to look for a move. He's going to have the inside for this kink. He's going to have to go all the way around the outside for the corner though. I don't think he's going to try it though. No, he's backs out of it luckily. Otherwise that could have been pretty dangerous. But at the moment then Braga very close to the wall, both of them, Pal and Braga. Not laying up whatsoever. Pal's gone a little bit wide though. Has allowed Braga to get around the outside and get past. It's a brilliant move for Braga. And fantastic. And he managed to get back up into P2. All the while Marnik has managed to pull around a 7-second gap, but Braga's in the pit stop. I'm not sure what we broke late again, so I don't know if he's doing an early stop. I'm not sure what really the plan was here, but we'll see. If it's an early stop, it's probably the best time for it, and he just has to do around 45 minutes of flat-out racing. And really does put pressure on Pal now, who's currently got a little bit of pressure from Jan. He's trying to unlap himself, so maybe another reason why Braga stopped. He's trying to get the pressure off from behind and let these two sort out their business while he'll gain time back in. But we'll have to see how that works out for Braga. It's quite a risky move with this amount left, but he has gone back out, so it looked like a splash and dash for Braga. Probably just filling up fuel and his virtual energy, so he doesn't have to stop again. Now he's got a little bit of clean air, minus obviously the traffic for LMP2s. But yeah, 25 seconds behind. We'll have to keep an eye on that gap, but Jan looking to unlap himself again. We'll have to see how that goes, but obviously Pal now starts to feel this pressure from the lapped car, so I don't know if it's easier for him to let him go or continue to fight it. If he continues to fight it, he could be looking at losing quite a bit of time for Braga when he comes in for his stop. So we'll have to see how it all plays out for these guys, of course. But it's personal best sector for Jacob Marnik, so he's definitely pushing at the moment. Just trying to get the laps in, and wondering if he'll come to this flash and dash. Now he's seen Braga come into the pit stop. We'll have to see. But meanwhile then, we'll scroll down. The fastest lap of the LMP2 class was by Christian Berinda. Like I said earlier, unfortunately did DNF from this race around 13 laps ago. But he set a 3-minute 39.3, and at the moment Charles Rink's best lap is a 3-minute 39.8, so fairly close. But has got a little bit more time to gain. Andrew has unfortunately in the LMP2 class has DNF'd as well. Super unfortunate. And these LMP2s are quite difficult to drive, so I'd imagine that's probably why he probably has a little incident somewhere. Meanwhile, in the LMP3 class, Enzo holds the fastest lap of the race. It's 4-minute 02.5. That is faster by anyone by a whole second. That person is Jacob Olney, who's currently leading the LMGT3 class at the moment by 20 seconds. So he's doing a pretty good job at the moment. These were the two M4s earlier that were fighting. Now he, with a strategy call, has managed to stay out ahead pretty nicely. So as we can see, strategy does come into play. We've got 45 minutes left then of this race, and all the gaps have started to spread out now. And only now have the gaps started to really spread out, unfortunately. But
It's just how it is, I guess. But yeah, we'll have to see. Well, let's see if there's any more facts and information I have on my sheet. We'll have to see. Not particularly. I've pretty much blown through it all. So this is a perfect segment to Uplay. So obviously you can see the logo in the top right of your screen. Now it's changed. Obviously Uplay is a website where you can get obviously all your Steam games or any game really, for that matter, on a good sale. And Uplay do all sorts of games. Do anything from obviously all the ACM racing games, stuff like Le Mans Ultimate, ACC, all the ACC DLCs, and much more. AMS2, we've just started obviously racing on there as well. You can pick up all those games on Uplay for a very, very low price. And obviously, if you can make sure you use the ACM code, which will be in the link in the Twitch chat, and I imagine there'll be a link for that. If not, it's in the support ACM channel in the Discord. You can see the gap. I mean the link on there, and that'll take you to Uplay. And obviously, it's not just racing games Uplay sell as well. You can get any game pretty much imagined. If it's on Uplay, you can use the code, and it'll work. So make sure you pick up your games on Uplay, and it'll be a very good sale for you, and a very good price for you. Obviously, and very, in a way, helping and supporting ACM, as Le Mans Ultimate servers are not cheap whatsoever, because for some godforsaken reason, devs thought it was a great money opportunity. So whichever way you try to support ACM, it very helps. Whether that's the Patreon as well, you can sign up to that, obviously Uplay, or of course the PayPal direct as well. Anyway, it does obviously help ACM continue to run these race servers and continue to provide more racing to you guys. Obviously, in January we've got Career Mode Season 1 coming out for ACC, and that is going to be a very good thing. We just had our trial and it went brilliantly, and we had more features come January, so that should be all good fun. Make sure you get yourself signed up and stay inside the Discord for more information on that, of course. As it comes January, we should have some great racing, great features to show everyone, and obviously Career Mode is unique in its own, so it would be great to have everyone join us there. But if you're just here for Le Mans Ultimate, of course, in January we do plan to have lots more events, potentially daily racing in Le Mans Ultimate. It's yet to be confirmed, but definitely more races to come in January, so make sure you get signed up to that as well, and we should have a great 2025, of course. But for now, still 40 minutes left of this race, and currently watching Jacob Walmy in his BMW M4 getting overtaken by Pal in the Ferrari. Yeah, he's leading MG3. Obviously, he was leading until, unfortunately, he was P2 until, unfortunately, we lost Berinda not long ago, and it's now been leading pretty consistently. But at the moment, then, Braga has not brought down that gap after that splash and dash. It sits around 29 seconds now, so it's lost around 4 seconds. So not particularly good at the moment for Braga. Maybe that early pit stop wasn't a great idea, but again, still plenty of time for it to all play out, of course. So you have to see how it does play out by the time he comes across the line, and yeah, we'll have to see. But how then? Personal best, Sector 1. So he definitely is pushing, trying to close that gap to Marnik up ahead. The gap around 9 seconds. It's pretty much stayed around 9 seconds. So not much improvement going on there. But meanwhile then, looking down in the LMGT3 class, the gaps again start to spread out still. So the closest is Radek and Daniel. Gaps around 2.8 seconds, and it's because Daniel has now come into the pit stop. So, the new closest battle then will be between Tyler Parker and Radek. So there's Radek, and then there is Tyler. So we saw this battle a little bit earlier, so let's see if that continues onwards. I'm quickly going to go another drink of water, and then I'll be back very shortly to continue this race. I will stay on board with the LMGT3s because we have not stayed on board with them all that much this race. Quickly go on a decent on board inside the Ferrari. After I come back, tell me if it sounds realistic or not. Here we go. I'll be back very shortly.
second, which will be Tyler Parker in 296, which sounds amazing, as it would anyway. But yeah, go back to our course, so that we can now see the battle from the outside. So Tyler Parker then chasing after Radek. 2 296s chasing for a podium. Radek currently holding P3 in class, and I imagine obviously Tyler would want that as just as much as Radek would, and so I have to see how these two get on. Meanwhile, at the top, it looks like the gap hasn't gone down all too much as Marnik has only lost around 4/10 to power, and he is going through quite a bit of traffic, and so I wouldn't expect that to really become a major factor. 32 minutes left then of this race, so half an hour. So we'll have to see what is going to happen in this final 30 minutes. If, for example, those GT3s can get past each other or not, we'll have to see. There is a purple Sector 1 and Sector 2 for Tyler Parker, so we'll have to see what he plans on doing. We'll have to see, but I have to imagine it is pretty good for Tyler, and he gets to chase after his fellow 296 buddy, and at the moment I feel pretty good. Good finish for the race for these two. As I said, they are fighting for class podium at the moment, so it will be very interesting indeed. We'll have to quickly hop over to my control panel. There we go. As Kenzo is in the pits, and if this is for quick splash and dash, we'll have to see. But he's got to be careful of not losing a position to Radek, who is rapidly approaching Kenzo, of course. We'll have to see. I don't think he will. He had a quite sufficient gap behind, but you never know. We'll have to see. Obviously, Kenzo does hold the fastest lap in the GT3 class, so it's looking pretty good at the moment. But this all could change. Time he gets released from the box. He hasn't been released yet, and the gap is around 9 seconds. So it looks like Kenzo might actually lose the position to Radek and Tyler. By the time he comes round, yeah, he will. He'll lose position to both of them, and it was a long pit stop, so he's changed the tyres and everything for the final 30 minutes. So I don't know if the rest of those guys have to stop or not. So it will make it very interesting. We'll have to see number of stops on your left-hand side of your screen. You can see everyone has done 2 except Kenzo. I believe he's done 3. Yeah, he has done 3. So there you go. A bit more information. You can see the tyre they're on as well. Not that much. Makes much help, as that's a little bit bugged as well. Very nice. Positions gained and lost for those drivers as well. So yeah, it looks like then Tyler and Radek are now fighting for P2, because Kenzo's got to gain 11 seconds to catch up to these guys. It is possible in half an hour, but depending on the pace, he is 2 seconds faster than these guys on best lap. So we'll have to see when it comes around to the full time what that gap will be. But it's looking to be quite an exciting battle, this one. Like I said, we have seen exciting battles all up and down, mainly in the hyperclass today, and really not much going on in the LMP2. The gaps are quite massive. Charles Rink has just managed to fly away from them, but GT3 pretty close, so they've still got a close battle between Rasmus Amstead and Van Nimmen. It's around 1.5 seconds as well, so I have to keep an eye on that too. But Kenzo's already gained a second to these guys on the straight alone, so it'll be an interesting battle ahead, I'm sure.
just looking at the control panel then. Like I said earlier, it is a very nice feature added by the game devs. So yeah, we'll have to see how that is, but yeah, I'm not particularly sure how this race is going to end. That's a big slide for Parker, but we'll have to see. Obviously, grip is a big thing here, speaking of sliding and stuff. Obviously, Le Mans is made out of public roads and dedicated track as well, so it's a mixture of both. And obviously, that means grip and track grip are going to be quite a bit different in different areas of the circuit. So, yeah, and that means degradation is going to be different in different parts of the circuit. It means a lot of different things, so we need to see how it all affects everything. Obviously, different starting in different parts, but for now, it seems to be going pretty well for the GT3s. It seems to be pretty well. I think Parker's finding it a little bit hard now to catch up. He's lost a little bit of time to relate with that slide, so we'll see. He can't kill the tyres too early, otherwise, especially in a GT3, with no tyre warmers, when he gets new ones, it's going to be pretty hard to keep them warm. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But bring your attention to the race leaders of the hypercar and overall classes. How in the last maybe 3 or 4 laps has brought down the gap to Marnik by quite a way. I'm not sure if that's just primarily on traffic or not, but there's only one way to find that out, and that is by going to the last lap time. And you can see Powell 8/10 quicker than Marnik last around. That won't primarily be on traffic, that'll be pace as well. So it looks like Powell has found another gear in these hypercars. Marnik is coming into the pits then. Probably it's time for his splash and dash. Braga has lost quite a bit of time to make any gains out of this. We'll have to see what Powell does. Powell comes into the pit lane as well. So yeah, it's all or nothing for Braga really, but both lockups for the both of them to get into the pits. So they're trying to rub up as much speed as they can. But now this is going to be the most interesting battle of them all. Can Marnik get out before Powell can? And are they coming in for a splash and dash, or are they coming in for tyres? There's only one way to find out. It's just staying on board with Marnik. But like I said, let's see where Braga comes out as well in all of this. Because Braga could be looking at race lead any second. Marnik is in box for a long time. Braga's at 10 seconds. So Braga is going to get race lead out of this. All of a sudden, so that early pit stop he did from P3, he's going to get in the race lead of this race. At the moment, Marnik hasn't been released yet. Powell hasn't been released yet. These guys come in for tyres. Braga just came in for a splash and dash, so Braga is going to be on older tyres. But these guys haven't got tyre warmers. So these guys have to get up to temperature, and then they're going to have to catch Braga in 25 minutes, which is going to be quite difficult to do. I think Braga's probably pulled off the biggest strategy, which even I was unsure of. I didn't think it would work, but these guys have come in for tyres. Braga's just gone out on old tyres, which, to be fair, wasn't that old. It's just went up for a splash and dash, and now he's flat out for 25 minutes. And that gap, as you can see on the left-hand side, 22 or 23 seconds. That means they're roughly going to have to catch around a second a lap to even get close to Braga. And at the moment, they're on cold tyres, so it's not looking good for them at all. But I think Braga's probably brought up one of the biggest 300 million IQ players I've ever seen in any strategic race possible. That's all what Le Mans is all about playing the strategy, and Braga's done just that at the moment. But if he wins this, it is going to be quite sensational, and I imagine if he wins it, it's not going to be by much, because those guys will probably try and catch as quickly as possible, and they don't care about cold tyres. They're going to push flat out. That's going to be interesting to see how that all works out, because Matthias has found himself behind Powell, and the last thing Powell wants is to fight Matthias if he wants to get a chance to win this. Obviously, Marnik You see how far away Marnik is, around almost 6 seconds. So it's all on Marnik pretty much to catch this gap and take the lead of this race, all in 23 minutes. So can he do it? I'm not sure, but it is going to be quite tough. And like I said, he's got to find a decent amount of time. And we'll have to see. It's all or nothing for Marnik, and well, Braga, it's just massive. I thought he was constantly losing time to these guys, and well, obviously I was wrong. Braga probably, if these guys just did splash and dash, then they would have probably, no, they would have come out miles ahead of Braga. But they came in for tyres, and Braga didn't. So this is a very good strategy played from the Lamborghini driver, and it's now all up to Marnik if he can catch this gap or not. It's going to be quite an interesting one, and we'll have to see how it all plays out. The gap is still staying around 22.5 seconds, and at the moment it is not looking good for Marnik now. They've just been outplayed quite a bit by Braga, but if Braga's tyres give way, then this is not. It might not be fantastic. I have to see what the pace is like on Braga, because they are on old tyres, but it's not like they're not massively old. And Braga's in. Okay, so I was all wrong. I was wrong. So Braga's probably just. I'm not sure what's happened there. Unless Braga's tyres is just. They must be dead then. I don't know what the degradation is like on the hypercar, but I was getting really excited that Braga probably had this by quite a way, and because he came in for a slash and dash earlier. But if he's coming in for tyres, that probably means then his tyres are dead. So when I thought Marnik had been outplayed, I was wrong. Shouldn't have jinxed it. Commentator's curse. Braga has had to come in, and he's now going to lose quite a few positions. He's lost P3 to Matthias. I think Matthias has to come in, so I'll have to see about that. That Braga gets released then. So just when I thought that Braga might have that 3 for 3 in Le Mans Ultimate and ACM, yeah, I was wrong. But either way, 20 minutes left then. And well, the gap at the top, Matthias. I wonder if Matthias is going to stop at the moment. That's another question. These guys are fighting for P2. Let's check the stop really quick. You can see Matthias has only done 2, but so is Marnik. Marnik hasn't stopped yet, so Marnik is also going on 2 stops. I need to see that again. Double check that he is on 2 stops. So Braga's now on 3, so Marnik hasn't stopped yet. So on all of this, Power might have. I'd have to see, because I swear Marnik had 3 stops. It's all a little bit confusing to me, but we'll have to see. Unless the game bugging out or I'm bugging out, I don't know. But Marnik might have to stop then. If he has got no tyres left or no fuel left, Marnik might have to stop. And which would mean Braga would get P3 back and a chance at a podium. We'll have to see, but I imagine, I swear Marnik stopped. So we'll have to see at the moment, but like I said, 20 minutes left, so it's not all too long left in the race at all. It's a little bit late to stop at all, really. Like I said, I really stopped at the start of this hour and just gone flat out to the end. That's pretty much what I would have done, but it is one. It's a different circuit. It requires a different approach. I'm 100% sure of that, but we'll have to see how this plays out for these guys. We'll go back to the mixed timing tower as well for everyone. But yeah, it is definitely been a very intriguing race and definitely a learning experience for drivers as well, and us as staff as well. It's definitely made it very interesting, and I'm sure plenty to talk about and plenty more to plan when we want to do more races like this. We'll have to see how that all comes out, I'm sure. But 20 minutes left then, or just less than 20 minutes. It is starting to wrap up, but if you're paying attention to the left-hand side, you can see the gap was going down, and it's gone back up again now. But there is the Ferrari. Pal chasing after his fellow countryman, and it's going to be a very interesting finish between these two. So he's got Matthias just behind him as well, Pal. I don't know if Matthias is going to come in for his pit stop anytime soon. He's not stopping this time round, by the looks of it. He hasn't stopped. He had to cut there, so not particularly sure what he's going to do. If Matthias is staying out, then he could be under threat from Powell to the end. But we'll have to see. So there's plenty of there's plenty of it. There's not much going on. There's a penalty for a car. I can't read that because the overlay is so tiny on my screen. I don't actually see the overlay. I only watch the overlay through OBS, and it's quite tiny. So there was a penalty displayed in the top left for someone, and I don't know if that was game given or steward given. Someone got a penalty. I thought it would come up on the race control, but it doesn't. So thanks, game. Much appreciated. But the final 17 odd minutes, we'll go back through the time in tower on this as well. So obviously the hyperclass sense still led by Marnik, and then obviously Powell, Matthias, then Braga, and obviously you got the Cadillac of Barros and Ayrton, and then Patrick, and then obviously you got the two lapped cars rounding them out for the top 9 as the rest of the hypercars. DNF a little bit earlier in this race due to a big incident on lap 1. Then in LMP2 you have Charles Rink still leading the way, and leading by 180 seconds. So he's definitely put in quite a dominant performance. Also, he lost Berinda a few laps ago. You can see him there, and that's allowed Charles Rink to get up into P1. Other than that, then we've also the GT3s. They are led currently by Wolney in the M4. The 76-second lead over his M4 buddy of Kenzo. And then obviously we had Bloxfeet and Tyler Parker going out along with Daniel, and then Rasmus Amstead and Van Nieuwen as well. And obviously the rest of the guys have been lapped. So very interesting, of course, to see all these different class battles as well, big as part of one big race. So it's always good to keep up with all the other classes as well. But yeah, that's for them, and we'll go back to the multi-class view because I quite like the view. I'll show you obviously the top 5 of each and every class, obviously the Hypercar, LMP2 and the LMP3s as well. But Charles Rink has just DNF'd. Yeah, he has. So Charles Rink, who I was just praising for being consistent and leading this race after Berinda left, or DNF'd, he's just DNF'd and will lose P1 in class. He's probably made a mistake and probably gone into the barrier and completely totaled the car, and that's super unfortunate because that means Pavel Aronov now will take the lead of the LMP2 class. So we've lost another LMP2. It means there'll be 4 racing, and I mean obviously Pavel leads the way. How strange is that? Charles Rink, 15 minutes to go, and he's dropped it somewhere. Super unfortunate. No idea how he dropped it. Like I said, countless times I need an instant replay function. Quite a bit to see these things happen. Because when you're managing, three different classes, it's quite difficult to stay on top of. But Charles Rink then out of this race.
and will promote Pavel, Vladimir, and Jose to the podium. So, I mean, I don't know. How strange is that? Meanwhile, then, Matthias has come into the pits and he's now leaving the pits. So it does get Braga back on the podium after all of that. And, race for the lead around 3 seconds now. And we'll have to see if this gets any closer or not. But how strange like that of Charles Rink. I don't know. After all of that, I don't know what's happened. Like I said, he must have dropped it somewhere. I know the LMP2 cars are quite hard to drive, and especially on the braking, because they're not forgiving, because we've got no ABS and basically no assists. It's a hypercar, a little bit more aerodynamic and easier to drive. You could say still quite hard to drive, I must add, but easier. But LMP2, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's official now. Pavel's now passed Charles Rink in the pits, so he's now officially got the lead of the LMP2 class. So good job, Pavel. He's now going to take that victory, and Vladimir will be next to take it when he comes to cross the line. But yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm kind of lost words without that. But this is the battle then: Marnik versus Powell. 2.3 seconds to gap, and closing. So let's see. It's pretty much flat out. These guys have been both stopped for tyres, so this will be interesting to see how it all plays out for these guys. Marnik has got traffic ahead of him, as you can see. Looks like a collection of LMP2s and GT3s. But yeah, coming towards the final 10 minutes of this race, so I only have 3 or 4 laps left of the Le Mans circuit, and at the moment it's been a pretty brilliant race for Marnik. Around the outside of GP3, I know he's a much slower class, but that's pretty impressive to have confidence in the GP3 there. But yeah, Marnik has done pretty well. Obviously, Frank unfortunately started on pole position, did unfortunately lose out because of that. Did DNF, like we've seen. Unfortunately, a fair few of these guys today struggle with the car. Jacob Marnik has stayed pretty consistent all throughout the race, and led pretty good strategy as well. Well, yeah, he's gone P1 and stayed P1, so he's done pretty well. Same with Powell as well. He's done pretty well. Braga too, who follows, has done pretty well as well. But so a good collection of these guys have done extremely well. I mean, every driver has done really well. So especially good to see so many drivers. Like I said, 47 started this race tonight. Unfortunately, we only have 26 remaining, but even still, that's a good grid size. So, and we still have at least one each class. So that's always a positive. But yeah, this is out of the lead now. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Obviously, there's 10 minutes left. And the gap has hovered around 2 seconds. It's dipped just below 2 seconds, and it's just gone above 2 seconds. It's hasn't really stayed. It's stayed around the 2 second mark. I'm not sure who's going to take this, but like I said, they're very close at the moment. And it's all to play for in its final 10 minutes. Like I said, there's only around 3 or 4 laps left. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Be interested to see if Powell can claw back some of this time in the next lap or so, because if he can't, I imagine it would be very difficult for him to do that in any other case. We'll go on board with him. Stay on board for a little bit longer. Take him to the tower. Got me on board. I'd just try and enjoy a couple laps of this game as well. So we'll have to see how it is. A little bit of a lock up actually from Powell. A little bit of a grab touch from Marnik as well. They kept out 1 second, so never mind me talking about 2 second gaps. It's now a second. So yeah,
absolutely crazy. It's definitely an interesting race. And like I said earlier, it's definitely provided insights into how not only does Le Mans Ultimate work, but big slide from the McLaren. Oh my god. That's just because I laugh at me. Just my life flashed from my eyes, 4 power. I feel like I know exactly what it is thinking at the time. That is lost in serious time to Jacob. The gap's now 2.5 seconds. He's lost 1.5 seconds because of that. Oh my god. But yeah, even with ABS, these McLarens are struggling, and so is Power. Looks of it, he seems to be a bit on the edge of the braking zone. So he's definitely trying to push and trying to catch up to Jacob as much as he can. He's got absolutely everything on the line in the final 8 minutes of this race. And, he wants to try absolutely everything. Both now come towards the 4 chicanes. And I mean, look how quick he's trying to attack these corners. He's just trying to absolutely push flat out and try again all that time. Hal's best times dropped by an entire second, so he's definitely trying to push some more. At the moment, Cap's still sitting around the same, so Mike's done pretty well in managing this race, and Power's trying absolutely everything. We've seen all the ups and downs from Power this entire race, spinning out, almost taking out Braga, and then doing a brilliant comeback and making a good pit strategy call against Braga. And then now, where he's now chasing down Jacob Marnick in his final 6 minutes of this race. And he's definitely going to be the most tense 6 minutes of any race. And this is why I can't wait for a 24-hour race in this game. Stuff like this, and hopefully with a functioning time multiplier for some reason, like I said earlier, it doesn't work. It should definitely turn out to be a fantastic race as well, and I can't wait for that. Like I said, it is definitely turning out to be quite an exciting battle this. But the last lap time, Powell was 4/10 quicker even after getting held up by that McLaren last lap. So that is how quick he actually is. And the gap is now coming down. And this is definitely what we want to see. It's definitely getting quite intriguing. Unfortunately for Braga, it did not go his way. Again, he lost track position to both of these guys. But still, it's definitely very interesting race as well. He's definitely had to get down a little bit as well, so he has still got pace in that car for sure. But yeah, it is definitely turning out to be quite an exciting race. The gap now around probably around 2.2 seconds, and it's coming down pretty quickly. But haven't got long. They've got about 2 laps. Again, I was going to get held up by another LMGT3. Not really what you wanted in this final couple laps. Like I said, we'll come across the line now. 1 more lap, 2 more laps. I think that's it of this race. So it's definitely turning out to be a very, very interesting race. Hopefully. Yeah, it's turning out to be not what I expected, to be honest, this race. I mean, I thought there'd be probably a red flag, I'll be honest. It's just how it goes sometimes, especially on a new game where no one really has that much to expect. Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty good. Obviously, we had a little bit of carnage on lap 1 at turn 2, but nothing that I'd consider out of the ordinary. So, yeah, it's definitely been a learning experience for all, and hopefully we'll do more events like this relatively soon. Make sure you get yourself signed up on the SimGrid events, and look on the website for more information. So we've got a calendar on there and everything. And hopefully soon we'll get some Le Mans Ultimate data. I don't know if we'll ever get it, but I'm really hopeful for it. And then obviously Will can do his ACM app for Le Mans Ultimate, which hopefully we'll have. I'm hoping. I mean, Will's just been conscripted now, so that's exactly what's happening. If we get the data, of course, and I'm hoping we do, because it will obviously allow us to do more events, interesting events. I'll leave it like that, but hopefully we'll see. But the gap then it's not coming down all too much. It's still around 2.5 seconds. Mark has definitely put his foot down once again, so it's definitely turning out to be pretty good for Jacob Marnick. And like I said, he's led pretty much every lap of this race. Probably beside for about like 20 of them, which is, I can't even math anymore. I don't even know. He's led most of them, the majority. Obviously Braga, Powell, and Frank being the others, and sorry, don't forget Matthias and Fantastically a couple as well. So only them have led this race, and only one will finish it in first place. At the moment, it's looking like Jacob Marnick will be that driver. He'll have one lap after this one until the race ends, and at the moment, it's looking like it's going to go his way. Obviously, like we've seen so far, anything can happen. It wasn't long ago we saw Powell massively spin out in the braking zone at Dunlop, almost crashed into Braga. So, like I said, and that was when he was looking consistent. And just one small lapse of judgment, and yeah, it can really mess you up. But at the moment, Marnick has stayed very consistent indeed. I think the only mistake I've seen him make is cut the pit entry. But, well, I say cut the entry, cut the gravel as he locked up coming into the pits. Again, it's been a very exciting race to watch, and hopefully we'll have some more like it. For the LMP2 class, it's looking pretty good. Pavel in P1 then, and Jacob Wormley in P1 for the LMGT3s. Those two have been driving consistent races as well. 1 minute to go, and it will be one more lap of racing for everyone, unless Marnick decides to slow down randomly, which I don't think he will. But yeah, we're looking to have one more lap of racing. The MGT3 gets in the way, and not much you could have really done about that, but it was a little bit of time out of that. And one more lap of racing to go. Is one more lap. The white flag will be out. It will indicate one more lap of racing. It's been the last time Marnick goes through Dunlop at racing speed, and it is definitely turning to exciting. Powell has gained a little bit of time. Because of that thing, he's going to get held up by GT3, but managed to get out of the way nicely. He doesn't lose too much time. The gap is now 1.6 seconds, so Powell has decided it's time to put the foot down, and he certainly has. If he doesn't get held up by the GT3, he's still going to be flat out at the moment. It's hovering around 2 seconds. So, I mean, Powell has to have an absolute major final couple of sectors. 0.8 quicker last time round. And he has to be a lot quicker than that to get a chance. It is raining on circuit at the moment. You can see the wipers are on for the final lap. It's starting to spit and rain. You can't see it from the thing, but if I go on board, you'll see it. You can see it's slightly starting to rain, just ever so slightly. Luckily, unfortunately, we didn't have it a lot earlier than that, but it has started to rain, and has added a little bit more excitingness to our final lap, and a little bit more edge. And you've got to be a little bit more careful. These guys of where they brake, and the curbs are not already wet. I don't think it's that wet just yet. It's just starting to spit, like I said. But
1.8 seconds to gap, and Marnik has only got one more sector to go, and about 1.5 sectors to go until he will win this 2.4 hour of Le Mans. He's got to clear this traffic first though, before he has any chance of that. And, you can see how close Powell is now. 1.2 seconds per gap. It's getting ever so close, and I don't know how late Powell wants to leave it, but he's definitely leaving it late, and it's definitely going to be a very close finish if this continues. But Marnik a little bit more careful potentially because of this rain, but I don't think Powell really cares. You can see how much track he's using. He's using massive amounts of track, and Powell is just finding every bit of lap time. The gap is under a second now, and it's getting very, very close. And they've got a couple more corners until they reach the final sector. Well, they're in the final sector now, and the gap is hovering at 1 second. And if Powell manages to get an absolute brilliant set of corners in sector 3, he could just have the chance to nip it on the line, have a photo finish with Marnik. I don't want to jinx anything at the moment, but the way this is going is looking very, very close indeed. And you can see how quick Powell is going through the corner. He's not letting up whatsoever. And I think Marnik has just got this, barely. I don't know where Powell was maybe 2 or 3 laps ago. He should have probably putting the laps in then, but he's definitely giving it in now. They come through the full chicane after a brilliant 2.4 hours. Jacob Marnik then will come across the line to win the 2.4 hours of Le Mans only just by 0.4 of a second. Powell, what a brilliant P2. He did that absolutely brilliantly. Powell probably should have done that last lap, but either way they had a brilliant race between them, and well-deserved win for Jacob Marnik then. And yeah, I mean, what a race that was between them two. Braga will be the next then to come across the line after an unfortunate strategy call, which means he had to pit again anyway. He will come across the line into P3 regardless, which will be still a fantastic result for him. 100% podium win rate. And you can see the LMP3s coming across the line then. Aronov still hasn't come across the line to win the LMP2 class. And like I said, you just saw, neither has Jacob Wilney. But Braga, brilliant race for him. We'll stay on board with Pavel then. So you will come for the next one to come. Maybe the next one. Or maybe Jacob Wilney will be. Either way, these two will be our race winners unless they somehow make a major mistake, which causes them to be in a DNF. And either way, Aronov in the LMP2 has done pretty well for himself. Unfortunately, we lost Charles Rink and Christian Marinda in the LMP2 class, who were leading by miles, and gave Aronov the win basically. But either way, still a fantastically deserved win. LMP2 are so hard to drive. He stayed consistent throughout. So a great race for the Proton competition LMP2. As he will now slowly make his way. It's not as quick as a hypercar. You realise that after you hover on them for a long time, but will make his way to be the LMP2 class winner and finish actually inside the top 10. So it's still a top 10 finish for Aronov, which is brilliant. In LMP2 top 10, very well deserved as well. So fantastically deserved. And Jacob then coming through then towards the final couple corners of this racetrack, and he will then win the LMGT3 class in the first 2.4 hours of Le Mans. Another brilliant win, fantastic win for Jacob to win the LMGT3. Thoroughly deserved, stayed consistent, and well, he beat Kenzo by quite a way. Remember, they were battling out earlier on, beat him by 33 seconds, so it was a great result for him. You can see Pavel then coming through across the line then,
to win the LMP2 class. Another great result for him. So fantastic for all these drivers that have won. Like I said, and you see the P2 in class for Kenzo. Still a great result for the BMW M4 driver to finish a race like this. Fantastic result for all drivers. And I imagine while we wait for the other drivers to come across the line, we'll stay on board with we'll go on board with the hypercar Patrick. He's doing a slowdown lap. We'll go out and we'll get the race results up on screen for you. This is the current standings of Jacob Marnick. 41 laps done. Let's see, it says 3 seconds. I'm not sure how correct that is. It's around 3/10. What's the gap between them two? And yeah, I mean, he did brilliantly between them all. Braga. I don't think it's actually updated correctly. I'm not sure why. But then show, hopefully, in the LMP2 class. You see, yeah, it does. Pavel Aronov then 39 laps, followed by Vladimir, Jose, Daniel, and Charles Rink, who did unfortunately DNF. Obviously, you got GT3s, but Jacob Wolny 36 laps, followed by, well, obviously it's not 2.4 seconds, but you saw the gaps. Kenzo and then Tyler and then Radek. So again, relatively all of them have done absolutely brilliantly today, and well, a fantastic first stream on the Monza, and hopefully many more to come. But after that, actually, there you go. There's the session results updated for you. Official results. There you go. It's updated 0.3 of a second. That gap has a brilliant finish for the top two, especially after two and a half hours. Is absolutely brilliant. So great to see. Obviously, we'll go back through them. GT3, obviously Jacob, Kenzo, and then obviously the rest have been lapped. And obviously the LMP2, the actual results, Pavel, Vladimir, and Jose. So still very good results, and hopefully a good end to a great race. So hopefully if you enjoyed, make sure you join the ACM Discord, and hopefully we'll have more good racing from there. So yeah, I'll say goodbye now for now, and hopefully see you in the next stream.